Okay, let's do a little audio check here. Audio good. You guys can hear me? Good. What's up? Good afternoon. How you doing, guys? Welcome. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. My mind has just been kind of like all over the place with this war stuff. I'm glad we mixed it up a little bit yesterday. We covered the airport bomb threat. I'm going to try to do that. We'll try to like do updates of the war, but also start mixing it up a bit. You know, we got to mix it up and cover like breaking news, other breaking news as well as it happens. I've just had so many thoughts, man, watching this stuff. I mean, last night I woke up, I don't know, in the middle of the night at some point, and I started watching videos. I went on X, you know, doom scrolling a little bit. One of the things that I came across, we're definitely going to talk about. You guys ever heard of Savannah syndrome? This shit is crazy. There was this syndrome that like all these people were getting sick. Like these like American diplomats, spies, military officers for a long time, for decades. I'd always heard about it. And the military kind of dismissed these people. And they had bought U.S. military tests on secret weapon bought from a Russian criminal network. They bought this weapon that mimics exactly and does the damage that these people have been having. Where it's like a weapon concealed and silent and has a unique electromagnetic wave that causes all kinds of damage to the brain. Neurological symptoms. Reported by hundreds of Americans. And there was an interesting 60 Minutes that came out last night too. And we're going to talk about that. I said Havana. Relax. Somebody said it's not Savannah. It's Havana. I said Havana. It's really, 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 really interesting. And it's real. So we're going to talk about that at some point too. The first thing I wanted to talk about, though, is these terrorists in New York. If you guys had seen this, let me remind you, if you haven't seen it, these terrorists here, remember the guys that had a homemade bomb? This shit is crazy. They did another press conference. Two radicalized, they say radicalized, Imara Balat, 18 years old. So you got Savannah syndrome? Shit, we got Savannah syndrome too, man. We got Savannah too. It's too much. Apparently he was arrested. He was seen out today, I guess, holding up the the ISIS sign that they do, the one finger gesture, smiling, happy. This is something that's known. They hold up the one finger up. This is the homemade bomb. They try to throw this. They threw it at Jake Lang. Bolts and nuts. This is serious. This is what's really happening out there. This was live. This was live on streaming and whatever. And guess what? One of these kids, one of these young terrorists, is a spoiled little brat. Would you believe that? A little spoiled brat, naturalized parents. Parents of alleged ISIS-loving NYC bomb thrower owns a $2.5 million Pennsylvania home are naturalized citizens from Afghanistan. What? Little spoiled brats living the American dream? Ungrateful. A 5,800 square foot mansion with 6 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms. What the? These kids ain't no good. Ungrateful brats. They say radicalized. Let's take a look at there was a press conference that just came out. Let's take a look at that press conference real quick. And then we're going to get into the nitty gritty. And by the way, there's a press conference. Trump announced the press conference today at 5:30 Eastern. So that's the countdown you see on the right. I guess he's going to address what's going on. I think I've become a panicking. I don't know. Am I panicking? After seeing some of the things I saw last night, and I'm going to share with you guys, I don't know if this war, the timing was the best time right now. You guys could tell me what you think. I don't think the timing right now is the best. to get into this mess. And I heard, and I'll show you in a little bit, there was a video clip somewhere. Oh yeah, I quote tweeted it. Let me pull it up. They said that the US asked for help. Where's this at? Ukraine is not helping defend US bases in Jordan. Zelensky confirmed Kyiv sent interceptor drones and specialists to protect American military sites from Iranian drones attacks. I mean, yeah, they owe us anyway, I guess. But like, how many countries are you going to enlist to take Iran? Because the thing is, okay, they're talking shit about Iran. They're talking, oh, they're done. They're wiped out. They're shit. They're nothing, blah, 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 blah. How many countries are you going to enlist? The whole Middle East, the UK, okay, we had a problem with them because they didn't want to let us use their bases. I guess now they want to, and they were going to send some carriers, but Trump was like, F them. How many countries are you going to enlist to take on Iran? It's just looking like Drake versus, what's that guy's name? The other guy? Whatever. It's like 20 on 1. I don't know, man. I don't know. But okay, let's start out with this first. This press conference. Let's hopefully skip through it.
Of Gracie Mansion. We can now share that federal charges have been filed in the Southern District of New York against 2 individuals, Amir Balat and Ibrahim Qayyumi, in connection with that attack. The defendants are charged with attempting to provide material support to ISIS, using a weapon of mass destruction, transporting explosive materials, interstate transportation and receipt of explosive materials, and unlawful possession of destructive devices. The complaint sets forth the factual allegations supporting those.
I think they hit the 12-hour mark on the feed. Actually, when I was getting ready to stream this, there was an explosion. This fire right here, I actually caught the initial start of that.
Charges. As alleged in the complaint, the defendants were inspired by ISIS to carry out their attack. There should be no confusion about what ISIS constitutes. It is a designated foreign terrorist organization responsible for deadly terrorist attacks across the globe and has taken credit for mass casualty attacks in Europe, the Middle East, and right here in the United States. And as alleged.
And by the way, if you haven't heard, guess who took over, right? The supreme leader was replaced by who? Khamenei was replaced by Khamenei. Which honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they kill him, though. At some point, if they kill him. He already supposedly survived an attack. But Khamenei was replaced with Khamenei. Okay? Surprise.
Both defendants have admitted that they acted on Saturday because of ISIS. As Qayyumi was being placed into an NYPD vehicle following his arrest, a person in the crowd asked why he had done this. As shown on NYPD body-worn camera footage referenced in the complaint, Qayyumi responded with ISIS. And at the precinct, after being advised of his Miranda rights and waiving those rights, Qayyumi said in recorded post-arrest statements that he had watched ISIS propaganda on his phone and that his actions that day were partly inspired by ISIS. The complaint also details statements made by Amir Balat after his arrest. En route to the NYPD precinct, Balat made spontaneous statements without being questioned by NYPD officers that were captured on body-worn camera footage. He said, "This isn't a religion that just stands when people talk about the blessed name of the Prophet. We take action, as well as, if I didn't do it, someone else will come and do it." And later, after waiving his rights, he requested paper and wrote a message declaring in part, "I pledge my allegiance to the Islamic State. Die in your rage, you kuffar." Now, die in your rage is a commonly known ISIS slogan, and kuffar is an Arabic term that refers to non-believers. He also told investigators that he had hoped to carry out an attack even bigger than the Boston Marathon bombing, which he noted resulted in only 3 deaths.
And they're talking about, if you haven't heard, that, like, I haven't read it all, but supposedly that Iran might be signaling for sleeper cells. There's been a lot of conversation about sleeper cells. And if you pay attention and you see, we have this attack by these crazy ass people. Seemed like they were targeting Jake Lang, but they wanted to hurt other people, as many people as they could. And then we had the Texas mass shooter. Remember him? The guy with an Iranian flag and a property of Allah, 2 shirts on at the same time. He wanted to make it known. This is like from Iran. To me, they're still trying to figure this shit out. Well, we need the experts. We don't want to jump to conclusions. But he's wearing a shirt. He's wearing both shirts. He's wearing merch. He's wearing Iran terrorist merch. What more do you need? I mean, he could have acted on his own. Maybe they didn't tell him to, but
These statements, as set forth in the complaint, make clear that this was not random violence. This was a planned attack motivated by extremist ideology and inspired by a violent foreign terrorist organization. The complaint alleges not only why the defendants acted, but how. Preliminary testing has determined that one of the devices contained triacetone triperoxide, or TATP, also commonly referred to as Mother of Satan, a highly volatile explosive that has been used in multiple
I didn't know that part.
Terrorist organization. The complaint alleges not only why the defendants acted, but how. Preliminary testing has determined that one of the devices contained triacetone triperoxide, or TATP, also commonly referred to as Mother of Satan, a highly volatile explosive that has been used in multiple terrorist attacks over the last decade. As we have previously discussed, the NYPD identified a vehicle yesterday on East End Avenue that was linked to the defendants. Inside that vehicle, investigators recovered handwritten notes referencing TATP explosive and listing chemical ingredients for the type of explosive device used by the defendants on Saturday. Make no mistake, what happened this weekend was incredibly dangerous, and the ongoing investigation will be exhaustive. From the first moments of that investigation, the NYPD has been working seamlessly with our federal partners, many of whom have joined us here. In particular, the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force, which includes NYPD detectives, working alongside federal agents. They have been at the center of this investigation. Members of the FBI and the Joint Terrorism Task Force, including NYPD task force officers, have executed search warrants at Qayyumi and Balat's residences in Pennsylvania. Another important note, the 2 defendants arrived in New York City roughly 1 hour before they were arrested. According to our investigation, they crossed the George Washington Bridge with a license plate reader ping at 11:36 a.m. on Saturday, parked in front of 48 East End Avenue between 81st and 82nd Streets at 12:05 p.m., and walked to the protest. They ignited and threw the devices at approximately 12:15 p.m. and were immediately arrested thereafter. I want to thank our great United States Attorney Jay Clayton for his extraordinary partnership, as well as the prosecutors from SDNY for everything that they do, especially for their work on this investigation and their forthcoming prosecution. I also want to thank the FBI, especially James Barnacle, Assistant Director in charge of the FBI New York Field Office, and Rob Kassane, the FBI's Special Agent in charge for counterterrorism, as well as the Joint Terrorism Task Force. We are grateful always for the FBI agents and assistant U.S. attorneys who have been working around the clock with us since Saturday. Finally, and most importantly, I want to recognize the members of the NYPD who responded on Saturday.
All right. So, okay, we'll move on from that, but gonna keep an eye on those guys. Trump press conference coming up. Want to talk about the sleeper cell stuff, the Minab school massacre. A lot of questions about that. Was it a Tomahawk? Was it not? The quote unquote experts are saying that it is. It kind of looks like it, but I've also seen similar stuff from Iran that looks like that. It's just a really horrible thing with those kids. But at the same time, I don't understand why, again, and so, people have mentioned this is what they do. That school was a part of a base, and then they separated it. They put like a little line or some type of fencing. It's like right there still. And one day it just becomes a school. It doesn't make any sense to me, but somebody was like, well, this is what they do. They mix all their shit together. Still a really horrible thing. Iran war is not going as Donald Trump had expected, according to Sky News. Let me see.
Well, look, I don't see one at the moment, but what I do see is the war is not going as Donald Trump had expected, and we can make that judgment because you just have to listen to his different justifications for the war. Is it about regime change? Is it about nuclear weapons? Is it about ballistic missiles? Is it about Iran being a state sponsor of terror? Terrorism. Is it all of those things or just one of those things? And his view has shifted, has morphed, has evolved over the course of the last week, which at times feels like a lot longer. So he clearly does not think this war is going as he expected. I think there was an expectation of a Venezuela part 2, a one and done, an in and out. Clearly his
No, yeah, this is going to take way more than just Venezuela or even Iraq, I think. You know, I'm not no Middle East expert. It's not my thing. You know, I pay attention. I kind of like watch from a distance, you know, and sometimes we'll cover it, but it's not like my, you know, I haven't studied the history and everything. So I'm just getting it as it comes like everybody else, like the general public. But, this, and then compared to Iraq and Iran, this is just a huge different scale. You know, when I was looking into it, the population is like twice. Iran is between 88 and 92 million, roughly the twice as Iraq's 42 to 46 million. The landscape is 4 times larger. Okay. The economy is almost twice as much. Military size, just way more. And I understand the whole thing where they're like, oh, well, we're just going to shoot out all their launchers. And if they can't launch, it's just like they have a bunch of bullets, but no guns to shoot the bullets, you know? But I don't know, because they keep saying, oh, we took out 90% and it's less and less and less. But then you keep seeing these videos of these places that were striked or the THAADs that have been taken out. And okay, now we got Ukraine coming to help us out and all this stuff. And then you got to think about the logistics. I saw this really interesting video about the logistics that if it becomes an on ground, like boots on the ground, just to transport and move everything over constantly, the money and logistics that's all going to cost.
The advice he was getting on that, well off. He will be looking at the stock markets. He will be looking at the oil prices. He's been told for months to focus on the home front and not on far away.
And the base has kind of turned. At least part of the base of Trump has turned, because there's supposed to be no more foreign wars, right? Like no more foreign wars. I forgot what else the saying was. So some people are really upset about this.
Foreign wars. What's really interesting is that, you know, as you saw there, his most loyal are taking his word for it at the moment. They openly admit they don't really understand what this war is about, but they trust him on it. But there's a large part of the population beyond that base who doesn't trust him any longer. He is losing them for sure. So I do think that his mind will be very focused now. He needs to find an off-ramp, but it's very hard to see what that now looks like. He can claim victory. He can say objectives met. He can say job done. That does not mean the Iranians will stop fighting or stop firing.
I saw this really interesting post too by Patrick David. I think I was reading this last night. He said, whether you support the war with Iran or not, let's be honest about one thing. No one knows how this ends. No expert, no analyst, no politician. I know this personally. I've lived in Tehran during the Iran-Iraq war between 1980 and 1988. 8 years of uncertainty, 8 years of fear. There's a sound from that time that has never left my mind. A voice over the loudspeaker saying, he said something in Arabic there, and it translates to attention, attention, red alert, signaling that enemy aircraft or missiles have been detected. As a child, that was the most terrifying voice imaginable. I wouldn't wish that sound on my worst enemy. War destroys everything in its path. Lives, economies, families, mental and emotional health, and it creates generations seeking revenge for loved ones lost. It's ugly, it's unpredictable, and it rarely ends the way anyone expects. This Iran thing is crazy, man. Let me see what else. It says the U.S. has intercepted encrypted communications believed to have originated in Iran that may serve as an operational trigger for sleeper assets outside the country, according to the federal government. So that's another thing that people are talking about, these sleeper cells that are being triggered now. And there's multiple articles talking about it. You can look anywhere. ABC, New York Post, pick whatever your preference is. You can go read the same information about this sleeper cell activation, possible activation. The coded signal was sent out following the death of Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. The message appearing to hold instructions for covert operatives or sleeper assets. The message could be intended to activate or provide instructions to preposition sleeper assets operating outside of the U.S. or operating outside of the originating country, so Iran. So is that another thing we have coming? Sleeper cells, attacks. We're gonna get more into this, the school thing.
Have you made any conclusions about whether or not the United States, inadvertently or not, was involved in any military strike at that school?
Well, we're still investigating, and that's where I'll leave it today. But what I will emphasize to you and to the world is that unlike our adversaries, the Iranians, we never target civilians.
There was a report late in the week from 2 officials that it was likely U.S. involvement. Is that report false?
I've already said we're investigating.
If you could tell the American public it definitively was not us, you would tell us, wouldn't you?
I would say that it's being investigated, which is the only answer I'm prepared.
They won't answer beyond that. It's being investigated. I think it looks really bad for them, if you ask me. With a new video, I'll play the video in a second here, but again, I'll leave that for the experts. Mark Tardio, he had some thoughts on that too. I'll play that in a second. He doesn't believe it's US Tomahawks, but everybody under the comments under there are saying they believe it is. And as far as the Trump, the oil prices spiking, Trump says it's a very small price to pay for peace. Small price to pay. They say gas prices are skyrocketing. People are upset. And there's this interesting, there's an island. I saw I saw Tardio talking about this. There's this island, I don't know anything about this. I want to see if I can find out about, I saw him, I don't know where he was talking. Was it on his channel? Let me see. There's this island for Iran. What's this guy's name? Over here. There's this island that hasn't been touched yet. Matt Tardio. Speak truth. He had a video. Let me see if it's on his YouTube page. A few hours ago. Let me see, at one point did he talk about the island? Not this one. Speak truth. Island. Video he did it on. I guess I'll have to find it another time. I thought it was him. Or, oh, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of Matt Morsi. I think it was Matt Morsi that talked about that island. Matt Morsi. He's on right now.
Another all.
Okay. Focus on. Here we go.
Is Trump planning to Venezuelize Iran? This analysis deviates from the mainstream media portrayal of a fickle, senile, Bibi-led president. This guy's not a big rational. Let's keep reading. And why it does silent. This guy says he's rational. Let's keep reading. Take a look at this island. What is Karg Island and why does it matter?
Epstein Island.
A tiny strip of land half the size of Manhattan, nestled in the northern Persian Gulf, 1 hour by boat from the Iranian shore. Gazelles roam next to oil terminals through which Iran exports 90% of its oil. Where are we talking about, folks? What? 90% of Iran's oil goes through one terminal, one spot. All the oil pumped, 90% of it goes through one spot to get exported. And that location is right here. This is called Karg Island.
Yeah, they're saying it's a small continental island in the northern Persian Gulf belonging to Iran. It covers about 7.7 square miles. Its overwhelming strategic and economic importance comes from being Iran's primary oil export terminal. So they haven't touched this yet. But I was seeing some posts today talking about that they plan to take this.
And in fact, if you remember here, we were talking a lot about this island on yesterday's broadcast. Remember that? Folks, the Morse Force, this broadcast a little bit ahead of the curve here, okay? 90% of all Iranian oil gets exported through this island. Now, we discovered there was a pipeline, probably all of these numerous pipelines. I believe this is the main one that connects it to the mainland. There's a pipeline under the water. This pipe extends underwater. See, it actually pops back up on this island, just directly adjacent to it. Folks, it could be possible that 90% of Iranian oil goes through this pipe. Maybe this is the only pipe. Looks like there might be some other ones here. I'm not sure exactly, but this one at a minimum.
It does state here what I'm reading, that roughly 90% of Iran's crude oil exports, like this Karg Island handles that.
This one goes to the mainland. And it actually connects back up with
another island, right? We got another island situation.
Iranian mainland right here in a town called Bandar. Bandar Ganaveh. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's go back to the island. 90% of Iranian oil export finds its way on this island and gets pumped out onto these two locations. They've got pipes going off the coast here and finds its way on tanker vessels just like this. This is all oil infrastructure. Okay. And then there's another one kind of slightly offshore over here. They've got a pipe running out to this one also on the west side, and same dynamic. All right. So once again, very important, 90%. This looks like a Call of Duty map. Yeah, maybe someday. Give it 10 years and maybe it will be. Iran's pre-war signal. Before the war, as American forces amassed across the region over the last couple weeks, Iran did something very revealing. It ramped up Karg oil exports from 1.5 million barrels of oil per day up to 4 million. Near record levels. They started pumping oil at 2.5 times the rate. That means that the Iranians read Trump differently than the Western media. They don't think that he's after regime change or democracy. The Iranians determined that Trump was after oil. They might be right. NBC reported that Trump outlined to aides inside the White House his vision for a post-war Iran. Quote,
Well, I saw an article today, too, where Trump had said that he told people that are worried about this situation with the oil prices going up. He says, don't worry, he has a plan. Maybe he does.
The Iranian regime cooperates on oil.
Anyway, but yeah, I wanted to show that kind of an interesting thing with the island. I never even heard of that before. I didn't know about that. That was interesting. Check out this, too. There was this guy in Beirut, like a reporter. While he's reporting out there, he gets starts getting bombed.
وهذا يأتي في سياق تصاعدي وهذا يكون يعني ثاني أو ثالث تهديد ينذر أو يعني ثاني أو ثالث تهديد أيضا جدا كما يمكن أن نرى هذه هي الغارة الآن من خلفي تماما الجيش الإسرائيلي طلقات النيران الجيش الإسرائيلي يغير من جديد في منطقة الإصفار الجيش الإسرائيلي وطلقات النيران من خلفي تماما الجيش الإسرائيلي أغار من جديد في منطقة الإصفار وتحديدا يعني المشهد أكيد لا أدري إذا كنت تسمعينني من الآن أو إن كنت ترين المشهد حاليا. الجيش الإسرائيلي أغار من جديد في منطقة
Bumras. When I look at the skyline sometimes of Beirut, like we're looking at now live, sometimes like I see it like, wow, they're in war, I guess. They're getting blown up, but they have power still. Here in Florida, sometimes we get the hurricane. The hurricane hasn't even touched land yet. A little bit of wind and breeze, the power's out. Like, can we get some infrastructure over here already? Like, what's up with that? What is going on? Now, I heard this was fake. Let me see this report here. US Navy reported strikes to Iranian vessels. Well, it might be real. I don't know. I don't know anymore. What's the problem with this shit? You don't know anymore what's these videos that they're posting. Okay, so the Tomahawk situation. Footage of US Tomahawk missile hitting Minab adds to evidence that US is responsible. They're saying this is a Tomahawk. Some people are saying no, it's not a Tomahawk. They were saying yes, this adds to the evidence. Ooh. Let's see. And Israel doesn't have Tomahawk missiles. US Tomahawk. It looks like it got the shape of it. Kind of looks like it. Is this a Tomahawk right here? Let's see. Nothing's real anymore. It's all a distraction. I'm surprised the camera even caught this thing moving through the sky that fast. 30 frames, these cameras out there, what, most of them probably 30 frames a second. You're lucky if that, 30 frames a second, you capture this thing flying through the air. Lucky if you catch 1 or 2 frames or something, no? Let me show you another picture. Tomahawk. Yes, RT is Russian TV, but you can go to different various websites. I'll show you other videos too, different articles showing the same thing. Another like an image of the kind of what a Tomahawk looks like. I don't know. This is gonna be a big thing, man. A huge thing. I don't think they want to address this. I don't think they want to. I think they want to move on from this school thing. There's more. Hold on. So let me bring the counter argument for that too. Okay, we'll play this guy in a second. There was this guy that felt it looks like an IRGC missile. So let me show you what that looks like. This guy posted this. Let me see if I can get the other image. And so the thing is, it's really hard to tell when it's flying that fast. And the you know, that's what I'm saying. This is gonna have to be for the experts, unbiased. You have to get an unbiased expert for this to really determine. The other thing they're saying, like with context, they're saying this is around the time where the base got shot. The U.S. was attacking the base around the same time. They're saying this was a Tomahawk, but this could look like this too, though. I don't know. You know, it's a blurry ass image. That's the problem. Play this guy's video.
Mehr News Agency released footage on the 8th of March of 2026 that was widely shared by Western media organizations and the open source intelligence reporting accounts all over X, and it went everywhere else after that. Now, in this footage, it reportedly shows a US Tomahawk cruise missile impacting the IRGC facility or naval base in the southern Iranian town of Minab in the Hormozgan province. Now, this is that specific strike where people were saying that the United States reportedly hit an elementary school, resulting in the deaths of what the Iranians have said of up to 175 people, including the vast majority being young girls aged roughly 7 to 12 years old and female teachers and staff at the school. Now, a bunch of Western media outlets, including the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, and a bunch of others have reported on this, but also there's a lot of open source intelligence outlets like Bellingcat based in the United Kingdom that did a deep dive on this as well. And specifically, the guy that I saw that posted this, his name is Trevor Ball. Now, Trevor Ball is a conflict researcher at Bellingcat, and he's former U.S. Army EOD. In the post, they basically put up a screenshot from Mehr News Agency of the screen grab from the video, the airstrike, and then also a reference of a U.S. Tomahawk missile taken.
I feel like we need to get this full screened. Let me see. Can I do that real quick? Let me switch the screens. I need to get it full screen for people to see. Or maybe even zoomed in. I don't know if I have that set up for zooming in. I might not have it set up for the zoomed in screen. Let's see. Not fully set up, but we can make it work. I like that. Video of an airstrike in Minab, Iran. Reference image of the Tomahawk. US Tomahawk missile also taken during the conflict. It's hard to say, man, because one's from one angle, one's from the other. It looks like two different angles.
During the conflict so far so that you can see the comparison of the two. In addition to that, they put out imagery showing only 2 structures within the red cone that were damaged, including a clinic, and the other structure appears to be earth-covered magazine or bunker. They show where the elementary school was in comparison to the rest of the buildings. They then superimposed a red cone over the image showing the estimated area of impact of the missile visible in the footage, with the graphic also showing the position of a clinic, the school, and other damaged buildings. Again, shows the elementary school outside of that cone. Now, he also went in and said, reposting this as part of our thread, as contrary to some posts, Bellingcat is saying the missile hits one of the buildings in red, not the school directly. Smoke is seen already rising from the vicinity of the school when this missile hits. Additionally, I've also seen this Minab, Iran photo, like satellite image, showing what it looked like on May 14th of 2024 compared to March 4th of 2026. And you can see like the destruction that happened. Now, we're going to do a much longer video on this to break it down a little bit more and to give you, like, provide you with all the information, and you can decide for your.
This is what I'm saying. This is going to be up to the, I guess, the experts, and then and who knows? Maybe there's going to be multiple experts with different conclusions, and maybe we'll never know. Or I guess you'll just have to take whatever expert you believe. I guess is the crazy thing. Did we get a missile alert?
Yourself, how?
Let's see. It should be off. Oh. I think we're glitched here. Open this up. Yeah, let me unplug this. This thing messes up on me sometimes. Why you messing up on me? Oh. Locked in here. Might have to switch to a different screen for now. Oh, there we go. Ooh, okay. All right. So let's keep moving. Matt Tardo he believes that this is not a Tomahawk. He says that the evidence is clear. This is not a Tomahawk. Iran alleged that American Tomahawk cruise missile hit a school buried in an IRGC compound in southern Iran, killing 165 people. Analysis of newly released video tells a different story. AI analysis confirms that the wings of the munition in question sit about 40 to 45% down the body of the munition. On a Tomahawk, the wings sit roughly 49 to 50%. The wing to body ratio of the munition in question matches an Iranian KH-55 derived from land attack cruise missile. Further, the video shows the munition in a steep dive angle for the final attack phase. This places the attack angle at approximately 70%, which is the max attack angle for a Tomahawk. The attack angle does not match the KH-55. That angle maxes out at 55 degrees. So what would have caused this conclusion? The wing positioning alone makes the munition impossible to be a Tomahawk. So you don't believe it's a Tomahawk. Here's the missiles he has lined up, I guess. Let's see. Got this over here. KH-55. That does look. It has a lot of similarities. I mean, there's so many other ones out there that could. I mean, the KH-55 could kind of does look like that too. So, I mean, I don't know. I showed both sides, I think, arguing that. I guess we'll just have to keep waiting to see what the conclusion, if we ever find out the truth. If they ever, who knows if they even ever own up to it. Iran confirms Russia's helping in many different directions in its war with Israel. It's not a secret. I also saw that, I think, China was trying to help too. And this guy Mario posted this too, because he posted, I guess, he had posted today or yesterday. This is the closest the world has been to World War III, and everyone seems to be fine with it. And then previously on February 28, no, a war with Iran is not the beginning of World War III. So I don't know. That seems like a direct contradiction to me, or you could try to find ways to be like, well, no, it doesn't contradict itself. I think it is. A lot of these accounts post one thing one day, the next thing they post another. Just like the twin brothers. The twin brothers, if you watch them, if you watch them on Facebook and you watch them on X, you see that they post two different things, political different things. And I guess on Facebook, maybe because it's more liberal, they post whatever it is on Facebook. Oops, I want to see that. And then on X, it's a whole different thing as well. I guess to cater to the viewers on either side. MAGA cult. Okay. I know that some of the unhinged people come into the chat with this story. Oh, this lady went crazy. Tell me what you think about this lady. I think this is gonna piss off some people. I want to know what you guys think. She says, do not join the military, no branch ever. She's telling people, do not join the military. Tell me what you think.
I did 6 years in the military, in the Army, and here are my tips on why you should not join. Disclaimer, if you're about to join and you already got your mind made up, just scroll on past. This is to spread awareness, put exposure out there, and to save my kind from going into a white man's army. Number one, they're racist. Number two, you will never get your full amount of pay. So the amount of pay that they tell you they're going to pay you, you'll never see it. Number three, when it's time to get out and get your benefits, they're going to give you a hassle and bully you, harass you, and take all year long. Next tip, they don't like black people, so go in there and be prepared to be at the bottom of the swivel. You're going to be dealing with people who are used to the old way of living. Those people think they're still in 1930. Next tip is the food. They poison you through the food. They also put stuff in the food to throw off your body. Also, they give you so many shots, so you'll never fully know what's inside of your body, and they require you to get every shot that the government comes out with.
Yeah, everything.
They take people right out the hood, so most of the people that's in the military have anger issues, mommy and daddy issues. No one who had a good life, that was wealthy, that grew up sane and stable with both parents and a healthy home is in the military.
Bro, when I heard this part, the racist thing, it's like, eh. But when I heard this part, I was like, damn. She said they grab people out of the hood, and the people in the hood are in the military, and then nobody that's sane or has like a decent life or anything is in the military, and they all have mommy and daddy issues, bro.
Have anger issues, mommy and daddy issues. No one who had a good life, that was wealthy, that grew up sane and stable with both parents and a healthy home is in the military. Nobody.
Damn.
Next is they're full of drunks because you're not supposed to do drugs, even though the higher ups be doing coke. So they'll kick you out if you do weed, but the higher ups and the white people be doing coke and getting away with it. When it comes down to medication, so I had started going to behavioral health. I wanted just a clearer space for my mental. They put me on 4 different types of medication to make me commit suicide. The doctor also confessed to me that I was their test dummy. Basically, they're guinea pigs. So when they get new medication, they try it out on the black people. And the number 1 side effect is suicidal thoughts. Bring me.
I mean, that part, that's everybody. That's not just like military. I've said this so many times, like the antidepressant stuff. I'm not saying don't take it. If you need, do what you got to do. But I'm just saying a lot of this stuff is experimental. They don't even know the effects it's going to have on you. And a lot of times the side effects is suicide or depression, like the same shit you're trying to get help for.
To my next tip, they off people and they get away with it. They cover it up. They'll lie to the family and say that the person off themselves. They'll lie and say it was an accident. When those soldiers go missing, the government know exactly where they're at. Next, they're also undercover bases, so it's so easy to get kidnapped and trafficked. Next tip is they don't care about your well-being. Anytime I went forward to report harassment, bullying, and racism, because technically we have EO, so it's supposed to be illegal to be racist in the military, but they just have things written down on paper just so we can look good for the white people. They don't give a fuck about that shit in person. Next is recruiters are scammers, they are liars, and they are energy thieves, and they steal money. Next is when it comes down to basic training, their motto is to break you down and build you back up. Nothing in life that is positive is going to start off by tearing you down. They break people's bodies. Anybody who's going to feel like they're going to come in negative on this post, go sign your ass up and join, and then you come back. If you don't have no intentions of joining, don't get on my post talking about somewhere. You can't say that. That's not everywhere. I travel every state in the United States except for 9, and I got treated the exact same way except for in Tennessee. So out of all the states, so that's what? So I've traveled to 41 states, and I only got treated fairly in 1 state, and that was Tennessee. Another thing is that when they cause you injuries, they're going to try to lie about it. They're going to try to cover it up. When I broke my foot, when they broke my foot because they dropped an object on my foot and broke it, they covered it up. They flew me to California to hide me. They did not take me to any doctor appointments. I never got my foot healed. I had to heal my foot on my own because I'm spiritual. I literally healed my own foot. They only put my cast on and they took it off.
I don't know about the spirituality healing your foot. I mean, I'm sure you could use a couple of homeopathic paths to healing your foot.
Like 9 months later, never gave me no physical therapy or nothing. When you break your body down, you're responsible for building it back up, even though they broke it. In basic training, there's literally a camp called sick bay that you can go to. Like if you get too sick and you can't do basic training for a few days, I got my teeth pulled, so I had to go there. And there were so many people who were there that did not pass basic training. So basically, sick bay was where they was hiding people out. I met one girl who had been there for 2 years, y'all. Her people think that she done moved on and she's in her military career. She haven't even left basic training, and basic training is 2 months. On my very first night of reception, 2 girls got raped by drill sergeants in the bathroom, and they covered it up, sent those girls to a psych ward. Now, I'm not saying that every individual person is wicked, but what I am saying is that the military has a job to do, and they are involved in cover-ups. If one is doing it, they're all doing it. It don't matter where you go. They all follow the same motto. The government does not like being exposed.
Jeez. The shit was going off. I had a feeling she was going to... I was listening. I don't know. Did I listen to this last night? It might have been last night when I was going in the rabbit hole. The Ayatollah. Did you know the Ayatollah's son owns a $50 million luxury apartments overlooking the Israeli embassy in London? Life is good. Life is good. Boy got money. Ayatollah's son. It's kind of weird that this is like really quiet. I usually hear some like background sound or something with the Lebanon. Not really anything. Guess I shouldn't complain. Oh, check this out. This is interesting too. All the media, RT posted this, but it's kind of interesting they put this collage together.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain. Short-term spike for a long-term gain.
Some short-term pain for American consumers. We may have to deal with that in the short term.
Short-term and temporary.
Temporary, short-term pain.
It's going to suck in the short term.
Some short-term pain.
Short-term pain. We have to focus on the short term.
Short-term.
Short-term. Short-term. Short-term and long-term.
Short-term.
Hopefully this is a short-term pain. Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefits.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
Wow. And so the programming begins. They all got the same script or memo or whatever it is. It reminded me of, I forgot when they did a collage like that before. And Iran is talking their crap too, because they're saying if they can afford the price of $200 a barrel, let them keep playing this game. So they're saying they're going to hold out. We're going to hold out. In addition to killing civilians and destroying their property, US and Israel went even further and started new barbaric attacks on fuel and energy infrastructure and service centers related to the people. We expect the governments of Islamic countries as soon as possible to warn the criminal America and brutal Zionist entity against these cowardly attacks against humanity, so that the flame of war does not expand any further. Otherwise, we will take similar steps in the region. Well, they're going to start shooting their own. And if they can afford the price of oil at $200 per barrel, let them keep playing this game. We're going to bring it up higher and higher. Better stock up on gas. And I saw this report too that said, let me see, I think I bookmarked it, that Trump supposedly was furious. By the way, this is what we're waiting on right now. This 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Trump announces 5:30 p.m. Eastern news conference as Iran fighting continues. I wonder what he's going to say. Is he going to reassure the Americans, the population? And look at this. Because I saw somebody talking about this and they were saying, why are they destroying the oil fields or the oil infrastructure that we're supposed to be taking? Like what? Trump furious at Israel for destroying Iran oil fields as crude surges and planned summit collapses. Supposedly he's pissed and furious after Israel targeted Iran's oil depots in a blitz that shocked the White House amid soaring oil prices. Wow. 30 Iranian fuel depots were obliterated over the weekend with apocalyptic images showing fires leaping into the sky, huge columns of smoke and black oily rain. Oh yeah, we got to check on CNN. Anytime we do these updates, there's one CNN reporter, the only person allowed into Iran. We got to check on him and see his post, because he had posted that supposedly it was like raining oil or something. Like people had like oil slicks on their car and stuff like that. It says White House officials are stunned by the scale of Israel's bombardment and concerned that images of burning oil would anger Americans facing increased gas prices, up to $3.40 per gallon on the average $2.90. Maybe that's part of their plan. Maybe Israel that wants to do that shit. Who knows? Furious. I want to listen to a little bit of Pete Hegseth. Do we have time? We do have. Oh, we got an hour. I don't know if we should do Pete Hegseth or we should do. There was this rumor too. There's so much to get into. I don't know which one I want to start first. Oh, the Professor Jiang. Let's listen to Professor Jiang, because he was talking about strategics, just the logistics of what happens.
So we know this invasion will fail just based on 6 fundamental problems. Okay.
I don't know if it'll fail, but I think I kind of feel like, and I could be wrong, that maybe they bit more than they can chew. I mean, this is going to be very costly. And how much did we give to Ukraine? And now we're throwing ourselves into this shit?
Okay. So even if you don't really know military strategy, these 6 problems will tell you exactly why American ground troops cannot succeed in Iran. First of all, this is not Iraq 2003.
Right.
So when you tell these soldiers, we're going to invade Iran, what do you think they're going to say? Europe is going against this decision completely. Okay? They are publicly saying, we will not support a ground invasion of Iran, because they know it will fail. They know it will create a refugee crisis that will flood into Europe. And here's what American resources have to accomplish. 500,000 soldiers minimum to occupy a country the size of Iran. That's the low-end estimate from the military's own invasion planning documents. In 2003, used 150,000 troops to occupy a country 1/3 the size with 1/3 the population. Iran is bigger, more populous, more militarily capable, and far more unified than Iraq ever was. Where do you stage 500,000 troops? Iraq won't allow it. The Iraqi government, now Shia-dominated and closely aligned with Iran, has already announced that American forces will not be permitted to use Iraqi territory for staging an invasion. Turkey, a NATO ally, has made the same calculation. Erdogan isn't risking Turkish cities getting hit by Iranian missiles to help America invade Iran. The Gulf states are publicly neutral and privately terrified. So American forces would have to stage from aircraft carriers and from the limited bases they still have access to in the Gulf. Which means the logistics chain, the supply line that keeps 500,000 soldiers fed, armed, fueled, and medically supported.
When you think about that, that's crazy.
Runs across thousands of miles of ocean and hostile territory under constant threat of Iranian missile and drone strikes. That's not a difficult logistics challenge. That's a logistics nightmare that gets worse every single day the invasion continues. And the soldiers know it, which is why morale, before the invasion has even begun, is already collapsing. Iran is 1.6 million square kilometers. That's huge, bigger than Iraq and Afghanistan combined. You need constant supply lines. Food, water, ammunition, fuel, medical supplies, all of this has to be transported constantly. And guess what? Iranian forces will target these supply lines. They will ambush convoys. They will make it impossible to maintain logistics. Okay? So the question is, if everyone knows this invasion will fail, the soldiers know it, the American people know it, why is it happening? What's the real reason? All right? The answer is the military-industrial complex wants this war because they want to burn excess money that's been printed. Let me explain this.
This is kind of interesting. I'm kind of curious what you guys think about this theory right here about the excess money.
Okay? The American government has printed trillions of dollars over the past few years. COVID stimulus, Inflation Reduction Act, all of this money flooding into the economy. But this creates a problem. Too much money chasing too few goods equals inflation. Okay? You spend it on something that destroys the money without creating productive value. When you build a missile and then you fire it at a target and it explodes, that's money destroyed. When you build a tank and it gets blown up in combat, that's money destroyed. War is the perfect mechanism for burning excess capital. You understand? The military-industrial complex These are the defense contractors, the weapons manufacturers, the private military companies. They make billions in profits while the money gets destroyed, okay? So the elites who benefit from this system are pushing for war. They're bribing politicians. They're funding think tanks that write reports saying we need to invade Iran. They're paying media to create war propaganda. They're using their influence to make this happen. And they don't care that it will fail militarily. American soldiers are not stupid. They know this war is unpopular at home. What are they fighting for? To protect Saudi Arabia? To protect Israel? That's not a motivating cause for American soldiers to die for. Okay? So you have...
I agree with that point there too. Like to fight for Saudi Arabia, Israel for oil. Yeah, that is not a motivating factor to go die for my country. I mean, I guess you don't have a choice, but
soldiers who don't want to be there, who don't believe in the mission, that's a morale crisis. And when morale collapses, armies collapse. The Zagros mountain range covers the western third of the country. The Elburz Mountains dominate the north. These aren't rolling hills. These are peaks above 4,000 meters with narrow passes, limited roads, and terrain.
All right. That was the professor. Kind of controversial. Some people like him, some people don't. He was right about the desalination plants, though. That was a target. It seems like it was targeted. I guess we don't know who targeted it because Trump was asked about the desalinization plants. Trump was asked about it. I want to talk about real quick, too. If we have time, we have 56 minutes. That's if Trump starts on time. He might not start on time. At 5:30, we got the press conference coming. But this weapon shit is crazy. I think people wouldn't even believe it. But I've always heard about this secret weapon, the Havana syndrome, and nobody believed all these people. They were coming down with all these sicknesses and vertigo, all kinds of shit. Nobody believed them. I'm going to play this clip.
That has obtained. Tonight, we have details of a classified U.S. intelligence mission that has obtained a previously unknown weapon that may finally unlock a mystery. Since at least 2016, U.S. diplomats, spies, and military officers have suffered crippling brain injuries. They've told of being hit by an overwhelming force, damaging their vision, hearing, sense of balance, and cognition. But the government has doubted their stories. They've been called delusional. Well, now 60 Minutes has learned that a weapon that can inflict these injuries was obtained overseas and secretly tested on animals on a U.S. military base. We've investigated this mystery for 9 years. This is our fourth story, called Targeting Americans. Despite official government doubt, we never stopped reporting because of the haunting stories we heard, like this.
The very first incident occurred in August of 2020, and what it felt like was that someone punched me in the throat and my left ear was clogged. And I started to get sharp shooting pains going down my left arm.
Chris and Heidi asked us not to use their last name. They met in the Air Force Academy. Chris retired as a lieutenant colonel working on highly classified spy satellites. He told us, near Washington, D.C., he was struck by an unseen force 5 times in 5 months.
The second attack, I was standing in my kitchen looking out at the backwoods, and it felt like an immediate vice on my head. Immediately disoriented, confused, and dizzy. The third attack, towards the end of September, I was sitting in our living room, and instantaneously, all of the muscles within my spine immediately cramped, much like a Charlie horse, and my spine felt like it was on fire, so very hot and sharp. The fifth one was by far the worst, and that was early December, and I woke up with a full body convulsion. The worst pain I have ever felt, it felt like a vice gripping my brainstem was there.
All in your own home?
All in my home in Northern Virginia, and Heidi was within my proximity.
They say that this is a miniaturized microwave device that was allegedly secretly purchased from a complex Russian criminal network for about $15 million in a Pentagon-funded operation by undercover Department of Homeland Security agents. The programmable weapon is designed to be concealed and silent, but doesn't create heat like a traditional microwave oven. It can be controlled remotely and can penetrate several hundred feet through windows and drywall. The programming of the weapon shapes a unique electromagnetic wave that rises and pulses abruptly, which can target soft brain tissue, possibly tied to sudden attacks of debilitating neurological symptoms reported by hundreds of American personnel stationed overseas and within the U.S. since at least 2016. The cluster of incidents became known as Havana Syndrome after early cases resurfaced among U.S. diplomats in Cuba. Symptoms included vertigo, hearing loss, migraines, vision problems, and cognitive impairment. The still classified stealth weapon has been tested at a U.S. military lab for more than a year, with tests on rats and sheep showing injuries similar to those of people that have Havana Syndrome. So I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting and pretty wild because I have heard about this for a long time, for years and years and years, but nothing really of it. And I guess finally maybe the U.S. had gotten a hold of this weapon. Look at one of the comments. For a decade, some American citizens serving our country kept saying that they were experiencing Havana Syndrome. Yet some of their colleagues doubted their claims. A lot of these people were told that, no, it's bullshit. Hopefully with more information about these weapons being released, they'll be believed. Both the U.S. and Russia, formerly USSR, have been experimenting for years to develop directed energy weapons using radio frequency / microwave radiation to disorient and disable opponents. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I've heard about this for a long time. You might have not heard about this, or some people never heard about it. I remember hearing about this for a long time, and it was just widely dismissed.
Proximity for the last two attacks.
Heidi, what happened to you?
Right at the beginning of January, I woke up with immense joint pain everywhere, with shoulder pain in my left shoulder, out of the blue, no trauma.
Bones in her shoulder were dissolving, something called osteolysis. She had to have surgery. Has there been any lasting effect?
Significant. So I'm on 2 neurological drugs every day. And without them, I have very severe symptoms. I had sustained significant damage to multiple organ systems.
You believe you were attacked?
Yes.
By a foreign ab?
Well, I'll leave that at that. But that's on 60 Minutes if you want to listen to that. Really interesting, really interesting. Let me see what else they have. Alex Jones here did a video saying it has now been confirmed that the Office of the National Intelligence and Pentagon warned President Trump 1 week before Iran war began that in most scenarios, the United States would fail miserably with regime change in Iran and potentially trigger a global catastrophe.
This war is going exactly the way I predicted.
And thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, Amanda. There's a great podcast called Hysteria that talks about the mass hysteria and Havana Syndrome. Thank you. I'll check it out because that's what people were trying to tell them. It's just mass hysteria. People trying to say it was mass hysteria. It wasn't real.
By the way, from my own research
Thank you,
analysis,
Stooge and Kitty.
I've laid out exactly what's happening. And it turns out that there was a multi-intelligence agency report oversaw by Tulsi Gabbard, delivered to Trump 1 week before that he'd requested, that said you're not going to get regime change, 90+% chance. Doesn't matter how many mullahs you kill, they're just going to keep replacing them. And they're going to block the Strait of Hormuz, and then they just went through the different horrible scenarios. And that information has been purposely leaked by good people in the Pentagon who never leaked in the last year on Trump because they're being faithful. I mean, a few mid-level have, and they've been fired and indicted. No, this is to try to get Trump to get out of the megalomania mode where he has been totally emboldened by success in Venezuela so far. He's looking to, destabilize, he's already destabilized and overthrow Cuba, which I won't cry if that happens. I mean, Trump basically thinks he's running the tables right now. And Iran is a different animal than Iraq, Afghanistan, Venezuela.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we were just talking about earlier. It's completely the magnitude.
Venezuela, Cuba, you name it. because of all the different factors and where it is geographically. And already, because they're able to hit the other Gulf states that have U.S. bases in them, that is sending even bigger economic shockwaves throughout the country. And now, we've seen the footage last week and every day of ballistic missiles coming in from Iran into Israel and into other countries, and you'll see them fire 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or more interceptor missiles, and you'll now see the ballistic missile change course and outmaneuver them and hit its target. So the point is, the Iranian weapons are getting more and more and more sophisticated. Now, Trump said on Truth Social Friday morning, he said, we read it on air quite a few times, he said, if you don't give up now, this may go 20 years, or I may decide today to totally destroy your whole country.
Did you say that? I didn't see that. Really?
But he said, regardless, I'm going to start hitting other targets that basically affect the general population. And they just blew up most of the oil refineries and systems starting Friday afternoon right through to today. It's continuing. The United States and Israel are obliterating their oil and gas infrastructure, which is the main power they have in the country and one of their only sources of money. And they're not going to give up. And the CIA studied it, others have, looking at the psychology of the population. This is only going to make the mullahs long-term more secure in their power. It's going to hurt the general public there and bring them into basic starvation, just like the sanctions under the Bushes and the worst of the Clintons.
Some of the more, just real quick to the breaking news. It says Australia grants asylum to 5 members of Iranian women's soccer team. The Iranian athletes who were visiting the country for a tournament were transported from their hotel to a safe location by federal police officers in the early hours of Tuesday morning, local time Australia. Okay. Wall Street erases a big loss and closes higher as oil prices fall after surging near $120 a barrel.
On Iraq killed millions of people, most of them children. No medicine allowed in, no nothing. So this is very, very diabolical. The mullahs are diabolical. They're terrible and don't care about life. They do terrible things as well. But I don't think 2 wrongs make a right. And again, I can play the compilations I already have. Dozens of times Trump said when he first ran 10 years ago, and then right through to a year and a half ago when he was running for the 3rd time, saying going to full war with Iran is World War III. It's stupid. It's horrible. The Democrats will bring you there. I won't. I'll bring you peace. I am peace. And I knew that Trump had been good about not starting wars, and it pissed off the neocons that were his big enemies, as well as the neoconish liberals in his first term, so I believed him. And overall, trying to end the war with Russia, he's done a good job. It's been harder than he thought it would be, and I believed it would have been harder than he believed. He said day one he could end it. So weighing all of that, he's not as bad as the Democrats and the neocons, but he is becoming neoconish and kind of pushing away classic, anti-offensive war MAGA and really cozying up with the neocons like Lindsey Graham and others. And so I've been raising the alarm, try to get him to stop getting in bed with them. And the majority of MAGA and the majority of conservatives and populists and libertarians and former Trump supporters and current Trump supporters have that view. That's what I get on the streets, what I get from family. It's what I get, around people that have been longtime Trump supporters, is they're just really concerned.
Alex Jones. Okay, we're waiting for the press conference to come up. Charlie Kirk I played a video clip before in a previous live, but he did say too in April 3rd, 2025, it's going unnoticed because so much other news is happening, but the war drums are beating again in DC. The warmongers worry that their last chance to get the white whale they've been chasing for 30 years, an all-out regime change war against Iran. a new Middle East war would be a catastrophic mistake. Our military stockpiles are depleted from 3 years of backing Ukraine. Our effort to reshore manufacturing has only just begun and will take years to bear fruit. War would worsen our already immense deficit and national debt. Iran is larger than Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan combined. A war would not be easy and could easily become calamity. Thanks to President Trump's restraint during his first term, America has had a golden opportunity to pull away from the Middle East quagmires for good. We shouldn't throw that opportunity away so that soon DC has-beens can feel tough by sending young Americans to die yet again. I think Charlie would be against this. Here's CNN saying that U.S. is responsible, U.S. Israeli, for the school. But this video here is saying that now that U.S. and Israel have damaged Iranian hospitals, schools, and gyms near targets.
The US and Israeli bombing campaign of Tehran has been targeting intelligence complexes, police stations, and state broadcasters. But we verified videos and analysed satellite imagery and found the impact is going beyond that, due to the densely packed nature of the city and the large-scale weapons involved. Take a look at this satellite image. This crater is at least 40 foot wide. That means it was likely caused by a 2,000-pound bomb. The target, Iran's state broadcaster, the IRIB. The strike wiped out its communications mast. These bombs used by both the US and Israel are capable of killing or wounding people more than 1,000 feet away. And just 100 feet away is the Gandhi Hospital, one of the biggest in Tehran. Glass shattered, walls collapsed, and patients, including babies, being rushed out. As more videos like this one began to emerge, we started verifying them, pinpointing the hospital where each one was filmed. Then we cross-referenced with satellite imagery to see the damage caused by US and Israeli strikes. Like here, you can see the blown-out windows of the Gandhi Hospital from space. Over in another central part of Tehran is the Mojtaba Hospital. And just behind it is the Iranian police headquarters. In fact, you can see a police helicopter pad down here. This image is from just before it was struck, and this is after. Entire buildings flattened. The Mojtaba Hospital is still standing, but we verified this video showing substantial damage inside. It's not the only hospital in the area affected. Over here is the Khatam Hospital. Glass windows shattered, and medical staff are seen running out. Further down the same street is the...
Okay, yeah, it says Trump takes the state of Republican conference. Let's see. The press conference is supposed to be at 5:30, but I don't know. He's always doing a bunch of stuff. He hasn't started talking yet at this. Mute the music for now because copyright. If you guys could help with the like button too on YouTube, I'd appreciate it. Get into the algorithm. We will see. Okay, he's talking.
A lot of friends. Sit down. We have a little time. Just everybody. Thank you very much. And to our great speaker, Speaker Johnson. And hello to the men and women of one of the most consequential Republican majorities in history. It's not a big majority, but it's just about the most consequential. The job you've done is incredible. And they are members that are warriors and really people that are for the American people. And that's why you're doing well. And I think that's why we're going to continue to do well. We're fighting a little tradition. Historically, the person that wins, Democrat or Republican, wins the presidency. For whatever reason, it doesn't work out. But we've done a lot. I don't know. I think we had the best first year of any president ever, and that includes you. You came along with me. You made it happen. So with your help and hard work, we're making America great again, and we're doing it much faster than we thought. And It's better, stronger, and
Make
our
Iran great
country's,
again. MIGA.
doing really well. I mean, at a level that nobody thought. We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil. And I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. How good is our military, right? Amazing. How good? Short-term. Short-term.
Ooh. A forward passage here.
Thank you. They're great.
MIGA.
You know, we all together, in my first term, we rebuilt our military. And I didn't know I'd be using it so much in the second term, but we have a military like no other. It's not even close. But I especially want to recognize the rest of our amazing House Republican leadership team and so many of my friends that are congressmen, some senators. We have some great people in this room. But including Majority Leader, a real brave guy, because I know the real story. I was there that night with him in the hospital when he was given a very small chance of living by a doctor who was very good, by a wife who was desperately in love with him. She cried so much. Because I've seen the other two. I've seen guys at the end of the line, the wives aren't exactly shaken up. When they don't cry, when they have no tears or any sign of tears, this is not a good sign of a great marriage. But he must have a great marriage because she was just devastated. She was going to lose her guy. But it worked out that the doctor said more blood was put into him than he's ever seen. He was in big trouble. I looked at him that night and I said goodbye to him, but he made it. He was brave, and look at the way he fought back from so many different things. Steve Scalise.
I don't think he's going to say anything related to Iran here. That's scheduled for 5:30.
And we have another one, Tom Emmer, who I really got to know over the last few years, and I'll tell you, he's a winner. He's a champion with another great wife. We get good wives up in there. Let's say great wife, fine husband. But Tom is just a real champion and a winner, and you have a problem, you go to him, he gets it solved. So thank you very much. Great job. You've done a great job. And our conference chairwoman is Lisa McLean, and we all know Lisa. Don't get on her wrong side. It can be a very, very bad experience. Thank you very much. Great job, Lisa. Great job. And a very special thanks. You know, you broke a record. This is over 20 million. This is it's the biggest of these type of events that there's ever been by a lot. You know, you didn't just break it, you broke it by a lot. So I want to congratulate you. But there's just great spirit. The Republican Party has fantastic spirit. The level, I don't think, has been seen before. I really don't. We have to get a couple of people on board, which in at least one case is virtually impossible. I wonder who that might be. A sick person. But I want to say a very special thanks to everyone at the Congressional Institute for helping organize this event. This has been amazing. And over the past 9 days, we've been reminded of how vital our Republican majorities are. And it's, it's America's future. We're really fighting because these people, you saw the other night at the State of the Union, you saw these people. They wouldn't stand for a mother who just lost her daughter by having her throat slit from behind. They wouldn't stand for a helicopter pilot who just got the Congressional Medal of Honor for landing safely in Venezuela, a helicopter with a lot of soldiers on that helicopter. And he was able to land it safely, and his leg was practically ripped off. And for those people that know about helicopters, you land them pretty much with your legs, right, Tom? You land them with the legs, and he was in bad shape, and he got that. Not only landed, he landed in exactly the right spot at exactly as blood was pouring down the aisle, which didn't make all of those soldiers in the back feel too good. They're looking at a pilot who's bleeding out. But they didn't want to stand for that. They didn't want to stand for a 100-year-old soldier who had left a legacy of bravery. Everybody talked about it for years, and it was time for him to get the Congressional Medal of Honor. They didn't want to stand for him. There's something wrong with those people. And we can't let them ever be in a position where they can lead this country again or destroy this country again, because we almost lost this country. This country was close to being lost. The representatives in this room provided the pivotal votes in securing a record $1 trillion for the United States military this year, and now the world is witnessing the importance of that investment with one of the most complex and stunning operations ever conducted, and that's Operation Epic Fury. That's a great name, isn't it? Epic Fury.
Epic Fury.
That's even better than Midnight Hammer, which was pretty good too, right? That was where we knocked out their nuclear potential. That was a big day, because if we didn't do that, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks. And I think we'd be in a lot different situation. And then you had, of course, what they did in Venezuela, how that was just so far so good. We've done a real job. We've got all good ones. If you go back and you look at Afghanistan with Biden, one of the worst, I think the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. If you look at what happened with Jimmy Carter, also with Iran, but if you look at what happened with the helicopters and the hostages, it cost them the election. It was what a mess. The world respects us right now more than they have ever respected us before.
Why is the thing glitching out?
And because of Republicans, you people in Congress, the United States has by far the strongest and most powerful military on the face of the earth. We're the strongest military anywhere in the earth, and now everybody understands it. Together with our Israeli partners, we're crushing the enemy in an overwhelming display of technical skill and military force. Iran's drone and missile capability is being utterly demolished. The Navy is gone. It's all lying at the bottom of the ocean. 46 ships. Can you believe it? In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them? They said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, wow. They like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them. I guess it's probably true. But think of it. We knocked out 46. Actually took 3.5 days.
Iran's hacking into the network?
Their terrorist leaders are gone. We're counting down the minutes until they will be gone. Think of it. We had leaders.
It's a sign.
And they're gone. Then we had new leaders and they're gone. And now nobody has any idea who the people are that are going to be the head of the country, and will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated. And remember, Iran did so many bad things. They were really, if you look at Soleimani, who was taken out, as you know that, but you know who. But if you look at Soleimani, the father of the roadside, you call it a roadside bomb because most people don't understand the different terms. It was where they plant bombs in roads. As you drive by, happily drive by, the bomb goes off, and no matter how strong the armament, it just kills the people. Or you lose your arms, legs, and face. And those bombs got worse and worse, and he got happier and happier, and we took him out. That was a big thing because he was the head. It might have been a much different story. They may have been much more capable than they are had he lived, because he was capable. He was vicious, violent, and capable. But we got rid of him first term. And we did so many things. I mean, we've done so many things, but as you know, on Saturday, I traveled to Dover Air Force Base to be with the families of 6 fallen warriors as they returned to American soil. And I know that everyone in this room joins me in sending our prayers and eternal gratitude to the families of those great heroes. Those families are incredible families, devastating to be. Hardest thing to do. You know, I've done it a lot. The hardest thing to do is to go to Dover, because Dover is where, for the most part, a lot of the fallen, the warriors, the great young people that have died in war, they seem to mostly go to Dover. They come home to Dover. Dover does a great job of handling things. They have men assigned to the family. They have men and women that are incredible, assigned to the families. It's a beautiful thing, but it's also a very sad thing. But they all said one thing to me: Make sure you win, sir. Make sure you win. They weren't playing games. They want to make sure. They said it. Everybody said it. They were separate, but everybody said the same thing. Make sure you win. We will. We've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. We go forward more determined than ever to achieve ultimate victory that will end this long-running danger once and for all. 47 years, it should have been done a long time ago. The world would have been a different place had some president had the courage to go and do it. They should have done it many, many times. They had many opportunities. The United States of America is the greatest and most exceptional nation in human history, and will not be threatened by evil terrorists and lunatics any longer. We just can't do that. And, you know, when I always talk about how great our nation is, I don't know, I don't consider our nation very great for 4 years under Biden. We were a laughingstock all over the world. We were a laughingstock. So, you know, I say great, 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 but I don't know, when you look at what happened with so many different things, the open border, 25 million people, many of them very bad people pouring into our country with open borders that just said, come on in, makes no difference. They emptied their jails into our country. 11,888 murders, 50% of which murdered more than one person. The drug dealers came in, the mentally insane came in, they emptied their mental institutions, they emptied their insane asylum. That's a step above a mental institution. They emptied them all right into our country. And we've done a great job of doing what we've done. Think of it, we have the lowest crime rate that we've ever had. We have the lowest murder rate in 125 years. And we're saddled with all of the problems of the criminals that were let in. You know, look, they're smart people. I know the people that run those countries, every one of them. And they're all streetwise, very smart. And I would do exactly the same thing. They emptied their jails into our country. I said that was going to happen when I heard that they were having open borders. I didn't believe that they were going to have it. When I realized that they actually were going to have open borders, I said, we're going to have every person in jail. We're going to have every drug dealer. We're going to have all these countries all over the world. The Congo, they emptied their jails all the way from the Congo to all parts of South America, Asia. They sent in their people in jail, murderers. Some of the worst people on earth got sent into our country. And I'll tell you what, ICE is unbelievable, what they have to put up with and how tough they have to be. That goes for Border Patrol, and it goes for law enforcement, our law enforcement people. But sadly, even as our service members are fighting bravely to protect America abroad, the Democrat minority in Congress is deliberately sabotaging our national security at home. And you're going through it right now, fellas. I mean, you're going through, it's not even believable. You know, we should be very safe right now, especially when we're attacking somebody that's evil, bad intention. But last week, 53 House Democrats voted against a resolution affirming that Iran remains the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Who the hell would do that? I mean, almost every act, whether it's Hamas or Hezbollah, no matter what, you take a look, it's Iran or Iran sponsored. And even more outrageously, as we speak, Democrats have shut down the Department of Homeland Security. They've got it shut down. Do you believe it? Right now. Because they care more about amnesty for illegal alien criminals than about protecting the lives of American citizens. I mean, take a look at it. The American citizen is being scoffed at by Democrats. It doesn't make sense. None of this stuff makes sense to me, you know, when they sat and they wouldn't stand up for incredible people. They just refused to clap, stand up. By the end of the speech, by the way, they were all standing because somebody was passing them. No, you people are getting killed tonight. They were all they'd stand up for everything I was saying. At the end, that last half hour, they were standing up for things that they shouldn't have stood up for because they got the word, you're getting killed tonight. Stand up and clap for the woman that just lost her daughter, please, to a violent criminal. But Democrats must vote immediately to reopen the Department of Homeland Security so that we have the resources to keep America safe. And under our pro-America, pro-worker, pro-family agenda, our country is winning again, and America is respected again. And I think we have a country that's as hot as it's ever been, ever before, maybe hotter. And I say it all the time. The King of Saudi Arabia said it to me better than anybody could say it. He said, you know, I get along with him very well, very smart person. He said, you know, a year and a half ago, your country was dead. Absolutely dead. We never thought it was coming back.
What?
And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's true. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world, by far. And that's before we showed off our military strength with Venezuela and now with Iran. You know, Iran was supposed to be this big, powerful country. We wrapped the hell out of them. And, you know, I don't know when they cry uncle, but they should have cried it 2 days ago, right? But they don't have anything left. In our country, inflation is plummeting. Incomes are rising. The economy is surging. Our border is the most secure at any time in American history. And the murder rate is the lowest in 125 years. That's before my father was born. My father was born 6 years later than that. I don't know if he'd like me to say that. Never liked to talk about his age. He said, don't talk about that. But think about 125 years ago, 1900, the year 1900, the stock market has set 53 all-time record highs since the election, and it's going to go a lot higher as soon as we get rid of this stuff that we're doing right now, that we really had no choice. I mean, I think I asked people, I said, would you rather do this or would you rather go along nice and smoothly, but eventually have a catastrophe the likes of which perhaps the world has never seen? And just about everybody says, except for lunatics, that you had to get it done. Should have been done a long time ago. The average 401k is up almost $35,000. Think of that. It's at the best they've ever done. And I think you're going to see some real numbers when this gets, because this was always a dark cloud hanging over not only Israel, which was going to get wiped out. You know, if we didn't do that B-2 attack, Israel would have been wiped out. They would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks after that. And even now, I think they were looking to take over the Middle East, because when you look, and we have pretty good proof, all of those missiles that were so stupidly aimed at Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, they were all aimed, and others, at countries that were sort of like, leave us alone. They were all right. They were sort of neutral, but they weren't doing it. All of a sudden, they're getting hit with missiles, and they could have gone one of two ways. They could have gone toward their side, like we're with you, or they could have gone with our side, and they really went with our side, and they've helped us, and they've been a big force. But they got hit. But they were going to be hit with us. Had we not done the B-2 raid, and if we not done this one where we said, nope, it's time to go in, we have to go in, have no choice. Number one, if we didn't go in, they would have come in after us, because I see the Democrats trying to justify it, and they're failing because the voter on the street is saying, you got to be kidding. But I see where they're going, where they're always saying, no, there was no reason. Well, I'll give you the best reason of all. Within a week, they were going to attack us 100%. They were ready. They had all these missiles, far more than anyone thought, and they were going to attack us. But they were going to attack all of the Middle East and Israel, and if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it on Israel. And this was going to be a major attack. And they had all of those missile sites and all those launchers that we got rid of, about 80% of them right now, by the way. Got rid of most of the, it's died down to a trickle. There are very few launchers left. What our military has done is amazing. They wiped out almost 20%, maybe 22, 23%, but the rest are going very quickly. And the missiles have been largely knocked out. The drones have been knocked down, and we're hitting where they make the drones. We know them all, and we're knocking the hell out of that now where they manufacture the drones. A lot of work, a lot of brilliant work, but we're going to have a much safer world as soon as it's finished, and it's going to be finished pretty quickly. With the help of our House Republican majority, we passed the largest tax cuts in American history, and we have to be talking about it. And with the great, big, beautiful bill, we delivered no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors.
What happened to the credit card discount?
And we did something else which is great that nobody
what
ever
happened to the 10% APR?
We have to talk about
They were supposed to do that. I was looking forward to that.
Interest on auto loans fully deductible. That's never happened.
Oh, really? Interest on auto loans?
Rich people always get deductions, but middle-income people, People that have to struggle a little bit never did, but now they can deduct the interest paid against their taxes. It's,
what? I never heard of that shit before. Okay.
We have one little proviso,
That's my
and
tax
I put
person.
this on, it's very important. Only if the car is made in America.
Okay, okay. What if the car is an American company, but they make the car in Mexico, but they claim they're an American company? How's that work out? Because my Chevy Blazer, they've had the years that were made in America, but then they've had other ones that are made in Mexico. So how'd that shit work out? Am I still applicable for the discount?
It's going to have a huge impact.
Serious?
That's
I want
going
to
to
know.
have a huge impact. We passed the Trump accounts to give every child in America a head start
The Trump
on
thing
the
is dope,
American
I guess.
dream, and that's so good. It was.
Yeah, my car, man. I love my car, but let me tell you, bro. I see what they say. I see the stigma. That shit, like a year, 2 years in, had some what kind of problems? It was transmission. The whole transmission had to be changed out. The whole fucking thing, man. I didn't have a car for like a month and a half, and I had to fight to get that shit taken care of. I mean, I had to contact corporate. It was all this bullshit. My car was still in the warranty. It was crazy.
I'll tell you, the Dell family, Dell computer.
Only new cars?
Put up $6,250 million. Think of it. He started with very little, nothing, very, very little. Started making computers on his bed. And he said, yeah, people started liking them better than the ones from the store. And he never stopped. And he can write a check for $6,250 million. He said, and his incredible wife, Susan, they said that's the best thing they've ever done. He's so proud. He's going to do it again. Going to do more. And we have a lot of other people. A lot of very rich people are doing it. A lot of people that aren't so rich are doing it. They're doing it for their kids, but it's turning out. So a young child turns 18 or 21, and all of a sudden they have $100,000 in the bank.
Oh, thanks,
What a
Mr.
difference that is between having that and having nothing. And it could be more than that. It could be a lot more depending on what happens with the world. And we passed 100% expensing and bonus depreciation on all new equipment, factory construction and investments. And that's what made our first term. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country in the first term. And this one's going to blow it away. Again, we had a little pause, but it's not a very big pause. With your help, we also passed the largest regulation cuts in American history, ending the Green New Scam, one of the greatest scams in history, and massively increasing production of American oil, natural gas, and clean, beautiful coal. We brought coal back. You're not allowed to say coal without clean, beautiful. Got to be clean, beautiful. China uses coal. They're building about 65 massive coal plants right now. But China, great respect for China, but they make all the windmills, right? The only thing they don't do is use the windmills. They make them. But try finding wind farms in China. There aren't too many of them. In my State of the Union address, I laid out an ambitious agenda that should be our roadmap this year, and it's starting with lowering the cost of living. They gave us a mess. We inherited a mess, an absolute mess. And the mess was many things. They were bad with our military. They were bad with everything. I mean, I said, name one thing that they did right. They can't name one thing. But they also gave us very high prices. And then they said the word affordability. That's the first time I ever heard it. They said affordability. My first day in office, they said affordability. They're the ones that caused the problem, but we're really bringing down prices big. Do you notice you don't hear that word anymore, Mike? They don't say it anymore because we brought down prices so much. So our message is simple. Democrats created the high prices, and our policies are totally ending them, and they're ended, and we're doing better. We're even bringing them down further. They'll be way down, and we're bringing, if you go back into the last period, I would say, I think it's 2.5 months, 1.7% inflation. 3 months, 1.45% inflation. Think of that. Whereas they had the highest inflation in the history, the single highest inflation in the history of our country. Now, I always say this. They say 48 years because I don't want the fake news to get me on this. They say it wasn't history, it was 48 years. That the inflation was the highest in 48 years. But I don't know, in some ways 48 years sounds even worse because it's very specific. but they had the highest inflation probably in history, but in 48 years. We inherited that. One of the first targets must be the crushing healthcare. We have to crush and take over the healthcare situation, which we can do. For the first time, we can do it since the passage of the Unaffordable Care Act. Big insurance companies have gotten rich. They've made money like practically no other companies have made with our government giving.
I hope this is the speech he had for later on, because I can't do two of these. I hope this is the one for later.
Democrats are owned by the insurance companies. Remember that, and so they have a problem. That's why it's hard to get it fixed, because they are totally owned and controlled by the healthcare, by the insurance companies. Healthcare insurance, but the insurance companies themselves. So when you want to do something that's good for the people but bad for the insurance companies, it's very, very hard for them to go in a different way. Now, Republicans never do that kind of thing, right? You're owned by nobody, right? Nobody. See, a young girl up here say yes. Some of them are a little bit shaky, but they're Republicans. We love them. We love them anyway, right, Mike? But they are owned by those big, powerful insurance companies that are making a fortune, and it's hard to get them to do the right thing. They know what the right thing is. So we want the money to be paid directly to the people and let the people go out and buy their own health care. And people love it. They love it. We can own the issue. For the first time ever, Republicans can own that issue. I'm also asking you to take swift action to codify my most favored nation policy on drug prices, the biggest. That alone should win the midterms. We have, and I tell this story all the time, my first term, third year, I actually had a slight, it was 1/4% decline in drug price. First time in 28 years. I was so proud. I went home, told our great first lady, who's now a movie star, I got the biggest, can you believe this? That movie was hot, and it is hot. She became a movie star. It was a good movie. But I went home and I said, you know, it's amazing. We do so well. We work so hard. This issue is the single biggest issue. Okay. I had a news conference, I'm embarrassed to say, a long time ago, my first term, third year, because I went up to a level that I did things that nobody's ever done. 28 years, I brought it down 1/4%.
Thank you,
now
AOC.
I brought it
Appreciate
down 80%, 90%, 75%, depending the way it's driving the fake news crazy, because I say 400%, 500%, 600, depending on the way you want to talk about it, if you want to talk about pricing. But using a conservative number, what we've done is we paid the highest price for drugs anywhere in the world, and now we pay the lowest price for drugs anywhere in the world. We are tied for the lowest price. Whoever has the lowest price.
Where's the prescription gone down? I haven't seen cheaper prices.
And I did that with tariffs. We had a disappointing decision, to put it mildly, from the Supreme Court. Terrible decision for the people, but the good news is I have lots of other ways of doing the same thing. I just have to work a little harder. They want me to work harder, but we're doing the same thing with a lot of work. But I used tariffs to get this because I went to other countries. The drug companies were not easy, but I got them. And I said, we're not paying. We were paying for a pill $130 that in London and Germany and different places you'd pay $10. So we were paying 13 times more. They're paying $10, we're paying $130. And the drug companies, I called them in. We had a rough time, but it wasn't that bad. And they agreed because they knew that I couldn't get the countries. You had to get the countries to approve it.
Over here, I see that there's supposed to be a 5:30 p.m. press conference. I'm assuming this is it, unless he's going to talk again.
You have to cut
He's talking again.
Your good friends from America a reasonable deal. What's happening is you are paying a tiny fraction for drugs. No, Donald, I cannot do anything about that. I said, you can. He said, no, I will not do it. I will not do it, because he'd have to raise his pill from $10 to $20 and maybe even $30. Ours would come down from $13, $130 down to $20, think of that, from 130. That's what you're going to get, from 130 to 20. But he has to double his price from $10, and they were the boss. I said, no, you will. No, Donald, I cannot do that. And I heard this from all the other countries, too, very elegant people. And they were saying, no, we cannot do this. We will not do this. I said, yes,
No,
you will,
senor.
100%.
No,
No,
senor.
we will not. Because, they have to double up their prices. And I said, well, here's the story. If you don't do it, I'm going to put, in the case of Emmanuel, I said a 100% tariff on all wines and champagnes coming into the United States. No, Donald, you cannot do that. I said, I've already got the legislation. It's right in front of my desk. I'm going to sign it. Emmanuel, he said, Donald, I will agree to this. So he agreed. Everybody agreed. I got every country to agree. And now you've done something that no other president could have done. No, I don't want to brag. But, they've said this about a lot of things. No other president could do some of this shit I'm doing. Yeah. No other president. The things I'm doing, nobody else was going to do it. They say it all the time, sir, could you do this? You're the only one can do it. But we got it done, and we got the countries to all go along.
Please, thank you.
Because I said, if you don't do it, I'm going to raise your tariffs to 200%, to 150%, and that's 10 times more than I'm asking for. And every single one, if it took me 5 minutes, that was like a long time. I was doing badly with that one. So now we have most favored nation pricing into permanent law, and you should codify it. But I don't care that much about codifying it, because what politician is going to agree to increase drug prices by 500%, okay? But it's still good to have it codified. Don't you agree? They're saying, sir, we have to codify it. I said, that's okay, but I'm not. Other things you should codify. That I can tell you. This one, you should codify, because you want to take credit for it. You want to take credit for it. So if you can, please codify it. Get out there and codify. You're getting an 80%, 85%, 55%, 70% reduction in drug prices. Ooh. Codify it. But if you don't, no president's going to raise it, in my opinion. Although they are crazy, these people are crazy. They could find a way. You better get it codified. And as we work to bring down interest rates so that more Americans afford a house, I'm also asking you to ban the Wall Street firms, large Wall Street firms, institutional investors, from buying up thousands and thousands of single-family homes, hundreds of thousands of homes, because homes really are for people, not for hedge funds. We want to get the market out so they can do it, and we're stopping it. We want people to be able to buy a house. It's the American dream. Buying a house is a part of the American dream. And we must also stand up for the safety of our citizens. One of my guests at the State of the Union was Anya Zarutska, the mother of beautiful 23-year-old Ukrainian girl who was stabbed to death on a train in North Carolina by a deranged criminal, arrested more than a dozen times. And I had the mother, as you know, at the State of the Union, and she was devastated. Beautiful woman, devastated. Uncontrollably devastated. And we couldn't get one Democrat to even clap. The Republicans clapped and went wild, and they loved her. Not one Democrat in that whole room even thought about clapping. They sat there frozen-faced. Disgusting. House Republicans should get every member of Congress on record and pass a tough new crime bill that imposes harsh penalties for dangerous repeat offenders, which this nut was, cracks down on rogue judges and prosecutors, and ends no cash bail once and for all. No cash bail is a big part. I mean, you have a man murder somebody, and by that afternoon, he's out on bail. No cash bail. It's a huge problem. We also need to end deadly sanctuary cities, and you have bills before you now, and you're working on things, but hopefully you can do that, Mike, because it's terrible. They're sanctuary for criminals. That's all they are, sanctuary for criminals. They fight ICE all the time. That was the problem up in Minnesota. They had a lot of criminals in there. They wouldn't give it to us. And to stop illegal aliens who cannot even speak English from driving 18-wheel tractor trailers. They have no idea what they're reading. I wouldn't be able to do it in their countries. There's arrows, and there's speed limits. They have no idea what they're reading. And in many cases, they're on drugs on top of that. We need to ban any state from granting commercial driver's licenses to illegal aliens. Have to do it. And I want to thank House Republicans for passing another common sense measure. I would think it's the easiest thing. I just told Mike. You know, you were at $19 million. I have to say this because I've never contributed. I was a huge contributor for years and years. Once I became president, I never contributed any money because the greatest thing about being president is I no longer have to contribute. Nobody ever asked me for money. They asked me for my endorsement. I've endorsed just about everybody in the room. But keep winning, right? Yeah. 124-0 this Tuesday. 124 wins, no losses. Is that good? And there were some rebels. We endorsed a few rebels, right? A few that Mike was saying, it's going to be a tough one. But we're 124-0. But as president, nobody ever asked me for money. And as president, you know, as president, you sort of don't make campaign contributions. It doesn't even. But I heard you were at $19 million today. I said, has that ever been done? No, sir, it's a record. But 20 would sound better, right, Mike? Yes. He said, I'm going to give you $1 million. It's the first time I've done that. I never did it before. I never did it before. I never did it before. Now I'll be hit up by every political group, every Republican running. Sir, can I have some, give me a little cash. I'll have Emmer come up to me and say, how about a little cash for my campaign? I will no longer have the excuse that as president, anyway, no, but we had to hit the 20, right? We had to hit the 20. That was a hell of a thing. You beat it by a lot. You beat the record, the previous record by a lot. But I want to thank House Republicans for passing another common sense measure. To me, the easiest of all, the Save America Act to protect our sacred American. Look at this. Look. It's the easiest thing we have. I can't, it's the easiest thing we have. Now, the problem is you call it the SAVE Act, and nobody knew what the hell the SAVE Act. Have you been seeing, I've been working overtime the last month. It's called the, capital the Save America Act. And I saw Schumer yesterday, we will stop Save America. He's getting killed. They can't do it. And then the things within the Save America are so good. But just the title. So we had that with MAGA. Greatest name of all time. Make America Great Again. MAGA. It just worked. You know, I had something, keep America great. It was good, but it didn't have that MAGA. You know, there was nothing you could see. I had CAG. And CAG, I said, you know, no longer, that's not good. But MAGA is great, and we'll always respect MAGA. We love MAGA. We're never going to let you down with MAGA. But this one's even better if you think about it. This says, America. We're going to save America. The Save America. How can they fight us? The Save America Act. And I've watched them. I watched Schumer, who's horrible. What a horrible politician. He is now a Palestinian officially. He is registered as a Palestinian. He's a proud. He's taken the biggest turn of any human being I've ever seen. He's gone from totally pro-Israel to totally pro-Palestinian. He wants to protect the Iranian people that are quite nasty. But it's very simple. All voters must show the act. Voter ID. Ready? This is not complicated. Voter identification. Now, if you know, I have a whole list, but I don't want to put, I have like hundreds of things on the list. If you go shopping, if you do this, if you buy a car, if you license a car, if you point to everything you need to have identification. So all voters have to show identification. ID. All voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. So you have ID and you have citizenship. So far, good. No mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. Mail-in ballots are a disaster. Jimmy Carter The best thing he ever did, he headed a commission after he was president. It was the single best thing, and he did a thing on mail-in ballots. He said mail-in ballots should not be allowed because they are inherently dishonest. And we have seen it time and time again, and we just keep going with it. And I put that down as a top 3. Look, no mail-in. Now, you have the exceptions for the military, and I would even say foreign-based military. But for the military, for disability, for illness, and if you're traveling, you know, you have an excuse. And I was lenient on that. But those 3 things. Then I added 2 more. These are best of, you know, best of. These are called best of Trump. We should also add on to this bill. And so what I've asked Mike to do is to draw a new one with these few things added. And let's go for the gold. Let's not just get one like voter ID, but, you know, it can be given to you by your daughter. You know, your daughter, she has to be of age, like above 6 years old, she's allowed to say. You had to see some of this stuff is so bad. They're doing everything possible because they know if we get this, they probably won't win an election for 50 years, okay? And maybe longer. And they're going to fight like hell. But boy, do they get killed. Because even the Democrats, you saw the numbers today, Democrats voted 86% that this stuff should be passed. The Democrats, with Republicans, you're at 98%. But Democrats are at 86, except for the people that run the Democrat Party, because they want to try and win elections illegally. It's the only reason you vote against voter ID is because you want to cheat. There's no other reason. They come up with reasons. They say, it's racist. That's their number one, racist. Then you have to explain it, and they're just sitting there mumbling. They can't explain it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And it's actually very insulting when they use the term racist. Very insulting to the people that they're trying to so-called defend, but they're not defending. Then I wanted to add 2 more to it because they're, I say 95%, maybe 100%. No men in women's sports, very simple. Add that in. And I wanted to add in one other, I'm not even adding in no open borders because, you know, there's some people that like open borders. These people are crazy, but that's okay. Because I want 5 things that are like close to 100%. No transgender mutilation surgery for our children. You can't have transgender for our children. So those 5 things, 5 things. Voter ID, citizenship, mail-in ballots, no mail-in ballots, right? We don't want men playing in women's sports. That's got to be about close to 100%. We don't want men playing in women's sports and no transgender mutilation of our children. Now, that should be the easiest thing to get past that you've ever had. Each one, it's best of Trump. Those are best of Trump. I have some that are very popular, but I wouldn't put them in that category. This is the number 1 priority. It should be for the House. And I'd like to ask Tom, Steve, Mike, all of you, if you would, I'd like to have you go back and Lisa, hello, darling. She was screaming her affirmation of what I said. The kid went wild. She was so happy that somebody finally said, let's vote on this. Lisa, you're going to get it done. Okay, I'm going to count on you. Forget the men up here. I'm going to count. Deal. But it's actually a matter in a serious way of national survival. We can't have these elections going on like this anymore. You know, you use paper ballots. If right now they have watermark, it's so safe, it's so good. You put it gets under a light. It says, you know, a code. It's very, very hard to cheat. Another thing, and I don't even bring this up, it costs 7% the cost of those crazy machines. You know, I love the machines where they get the machines, they spend all this money, and they announce during the election that the tabulation will go along for another 3 weeks, right? With mail-in voting, you know, there's not a country in the world that does mail-in ballots anymore. They tried it. France tried it. It failed. They go to paper ballots. They're all doing paper ballots right now. Most of them are doing paper ballots, except us. And nobody is doing what we're doing. And there's no elections so corrupt as the elections in the United States of America. And we can solve them with this. And the reason I put those other two that have not much to do with it is because they are equally popular. And I think it might help us. And for those people that like FISA, I said maybe you put them together because a lot of people feel very strongly about FISA. Some people don't, but the people that want it, they really want it. And generally, for whatever reason, they're opposed to what we're saying about, about the ballots and about citizenship and all of those things. And so put them together and you might get a vote, but we have to get it done. And then we have to get the Senate to do it. But if you could send a bill up to the Senate, we're going for the gold. We don't want what was said. The SAVE Act, it was all right. Nobody knew what the hell it was, including me. I kept saying, what's this? Save America Act. Don't ever say SAVE Act again. It's a loser. The SAVE Act. Nobody has any idea what are we trying to save? It's the Save America Act. If you could send it up in full form, meaning just straight, I think the Senate has to approve it. I really do. I think, and they're going to have to go to the filibuster, and maybe it's going to be the talking filibuster like the old days. The great Jimmy Stewart, right? Remember the great movie, Jimmy Stewart? But they have to get it done, because if we don't get this done, if it takes you 6 months, I'm for not approving anything. I don't think we should approve anything until this is approved. And they can't win politically. Look, you have them in a corner, and they're listening to every word I'm saying, and it doesn't matter, because they can't win it politically. Because when they say, we don't want voter identification, we don't want proof of citizenship, all these things are just losers for them. And they won't be able to withstand it. Just like at the State of the Union, they started clapping at the end. I said that. And the reason, because politically, you have to stand for these great people that were being. And the word came out from people watching it on television, you guys are getting killed. And this is an even bigger example. So if I could ask the people in this room to go for the gold. We're going for the gold. We're not going for the bronze. We're not going to sign a watered down version like has been sent up there. Let's go for the gold, and let's just not accept anything else. I'll tell you what, I'm willing to just sort of say I'm not going to sign anything until this is approved. I really am, but that's how bad it is. And we're going to have to push the Senate, because you have 4 or 5 senators that are, 4 or 5 Republican senators. You'll have to explain them to me, but we're not going to get into that. But we're going to push them to get it done, because I don't think you can politically exist if you're not going to do voter ID and these things. I don't think the people in this country will stand for it. So I'm making my biggest plea tonight. It'll make you, and I'm not doing it for this reason at all. It'll guarantee the midterms. If you don't get it, big trouble, my opinion. If you get this, your midterms, and they know it. For 2 reasons. Number 1, they won't be able to cheat. And number 2, the people are demanding it. Every time I go out, Save America, sir, Save America Act. We want the Save America Act, sir. That's all they talk about. They don't talk about housing. They don't talk about anything. That's what they talk about. And if you send it up there, you're going to win the midterms at levels that you can't even believe. And you're going to win every election for a long time until somebody really screws things up, and hopefully that won't happen. But I've never been more confident that if we keep these promises and deliver in this popular agenda, the American people will stand with us in overwhelming numbers, just as they did in 2024. I heard Mike say it's actually 78 million votes, but it was actually 86. You know, they cheated like hell on the list, but it was too big to rig. Remember? I won 3 times. First time was great. Second time, they cheated like hell. It was COVID.
Still going.
And their cheating was at an inspirational level. We can't let that ever happen again. And then they cheated again in the last election, but I went up. The term I used most was too big to rig. You got to go out. Don't believe, because we had polls having us way up. I said, don't believe the polls. Go out and vote. Make it too big to rig. And that's what happened. couple of races they cheated on, they got away with it. A couple of Senate races, my opinion. But we have to make it too big to rig, and that's what we did. But we shouldn't have to win an election that way. You could have a hard time winning elections that way. So you got to get that passed. And if we fight, we will win, and we will make our country safer and stronger and richer and greater than it ever has been before. And I want to say, very importantly, because they would like you not to say this, because this is a terrible thing in their opinion to say, God bless you and God bless America. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
President Trump wrapping up his remarks there at the Republican conference in Doral, really making his roadmap to other Republicans ahead of the midterm, saying what he would like to get passed in the House and the Senate before the midterms. And again, President Trump now setting up for a major news conference coming up at really any moment. It's going to be
He's still there's
in
another
a
one.
different ballroom, but at the same location.
No,
So
I thought it
we'll
was
be
it.
getting a lot of questions.
I thought this
of
was
course,
it.
on the timeline.
He never stops. How does he have the energy?
This war in Iran. We already heard that President Trump told many reporters already that he feels that this war is going to be over quicker than expected. So we'll be keeping an eye on the news conference coming up in just moments, everyone. We are going to take a 2-minute break, and we will be back with much more on Live.
That's crazy. I thought that was it. Oh, man. God help me. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I voted for him. I did. And what? Ninja? It's called Adderall. Damn. Okay, so I guess he's gonna step over to the next room. Yeah, that's wild. He's gonna step over to the next room and continue. Oh, let me see. Let me clear some of my windows out. Oh, one of the theories that people were thinking why Trump got involved. This is, I guess, more on the conspiracy side. I mean, I guess if you believe it. Let me play this.
The reason, though, I'm told, that Donald Trump decided to bomb Iran was that the Israelis said, for the first time, if you don't bomb Iran to take out these deep bunkers, we're going to use nuclear weapons. And they had never threatened that before. And so Trump said, bombing Iran might actually save us from the start of World War III if it keeps the Israelis from using nuclear weapons.
So according to your source, the Israelis told the President of the United States that if he did not use the United States military power to bomb the nuclear facilities in Iran, Israel, acting on its own, would use nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Do you see why there's a problem with that statement, John?
Yeah.
Because they've never admitted that they've had them.
That's right.
So you're telling me that they just admitted to the President of the United States that they have nuclear weapons and we still do not have them in the IAEA treaty?
I mean, if Israeli nuclear whistleblowers are to be believed, yeah, they've had them. They started working on them in the 50s. They got them around the late 60s or the early 70s. Look at
those are some people speculate. They speculate that Israel has nukes and that they threatened to use it, and Trump stepped in and decided to bomb the facilities so that they didn't use it. But I don't know, bro. Oh, damn. So Trump is stepping over to the next room and he's ready to do the press conference. Oh, shoot. I need whatever he's on, man. Put me on some of that shit. That man don't stop. Trump says he has a plan. Residents of Isfahan shouting Allah Akbar as bombs fall right next to them. I guess they're celebrating. Allah. Schumer's not happy. Schumer's pissed.
Gasoline prices in the U.S. jumped more than 40 cents. Let me say that again because we had a happy little fella up there, or girl, fella it looks like, but he doesn't have to pay for the high price of gas at the pump as we do. So he's laughing. But anyway, Brent crude rose above $100 a barrel and spiked as high as $120. Gasoline prices in the U.S. jumped more than 40 cents. When oil prices spike like this, it ripples across the entire economy. Airline tickets, shipping costs, everyday goods go up, up, up in price. Inflation was already on the rise, and Trump's war just made it much, much worse. That's why I'm calling on President Trump to immediately release oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to help bring prices down. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve exists.
Okay, we're waiting on Trump. Let's see here.
There were reports that
Trump remarks in Florida, so they're getting set up. Trump just stepping over to the next room, I guess, getting ready. Bloop, 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 bloop. Man's a machine. I don't know how he does it. Let me see if he's streaming on the White House page. Ooh. Oh, yeah, the White House press conference. I would have told him they have to use the previous press conference you just spoke. I would have told him, you guys are going to have to clip the shit that I just said and put it in this new one. I'm out of here. Okay, yeah, we have some live feed. Schumer.
And conflicts spiral out of control. Americans don't want us in this terrible, costly, unnecessary war. But 1 week in, they fear Donald Trump has dragged us into a war that is just getting started. And finally, on the SAVE Act. Yesterday, Donald Trump posted that he will not sign any legislation, no matter how important, until Congress sends him the SAVE Act, and a beefed up SAVE Act at that. The SAVE Act is nothing more than Jim Crow 2.0. It is a voter suppression bill. It takes away vote by mail. It makes it harder for people to register.
Yeah, I need to get up and go vote.
Requires states to hand over voter rolls to election deniers at the Department of Justice. The real damage here is not when you show up at the poll to vote and ask for ID. It's the registration. They ask every state for their voter rolls. And a Musk-inspired Doge voter ID using AI would be used to take tens of millions of people off the voting rolls, and they're not even told. They show up at the voting place on election day. They say, sorry, ma'am, sorry, sir, you're not on the rolls. Why? Because of this Doge thing. It's outrageous. It is Jim Crow all over again. And now he says he doesn't even want vote by mail. Tell that to handicapped people. And to register, To register, when they kick you off, you have to show up in person only.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, waiting on Trump. Let me show. We can see something in the meantime. Feel a little like, yucky. Allah. Additional U.S.-Israeli airstrikes not being reported in Karaj, Iran. Strikes targeted oil infrastructure. More oil infrastructure targets, apparently.
یا خدا آسمونو
Mario. More footage of bright light in Iran as they get bombed. Lots of speculation of what this could be. Aliens. Oh, it's Trump. It's Trump.
2 days, I have to say.
Oh, he's talking on.
Back to Washington, D.C. right after this. And I'd like to wish everyone a very good evening. And over the weekend, the United States military and the Israeli Defense Forces continued Operation Epic Fury very successfully. Over the past 9 days, we've carried out some of the most powerful and complex military strikes and maneuvers the world has
I'll fix the
ever
volume.
seen. Now, you add that up to all of the other things, Midnight Hammer, getting rid of the nuclear threat from Iran, which was a big moment in history, in my opinion, and the great success we've had in Venezuela and all other places. Every place we've gone, we've had tremendous success. But while we're doing all of these things, we're achieving major strides toward completing our military objective. And some people could say they're pretty well complete. We've wiped every single force in Iran out very completely. Most of Iran's naval power has been sunk. It's on the bottom of the sea. It's almost 50 ships. I was just notified it's 51 ships. I didn't know they had that many. Is down to about 10%, maybe less. We're also hitting where they make missiles and where they deliver missiles. We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it. If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt, having to do with electricity production and many other things. So we're not looking to do that if we don't have to. But they're the kind of things that are very easy to hit, but very devastating if they are hit. We are waiting to see what happens before we hit them. We could take them all out in one day, but it's all resulting in a 90% decline in various things, but in particular, Iranian missile launchers and 83% drop in drone launchers. As you know, the drone launchers are pretty well shot, but we're at over 90% decline in the Iranian missile launchers, which is very hard to reproduce and very hard to get. And usually what we were able to do through great equipment, a lot of smart people, as soon as they sent a missile up from a launcher, we were able to knock out that launcher within a period of 5 minutes or less, accurately right on the noggin. So now we have low-cost interceptors effectively combating Iranian drones. And our B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound bombs to destroy missile launchers all over Iran and buried deep under Iranian soil in many cases. The soil was no match. And we're also annihilating the manufacturing base that the regime uses to build drones and missiles at a rate that nobody thought was possible. We're knocking them out. We know where they all are. We're knocking them out very quickly. We're ahead of our initial timeline by a lot. I would say that we probably would not have thought after a month we'd be here. In addition to the fact that we've taken out the leadership twice and maybe three times. And we, as you know, we want to be involved. We don't want another president that maybe wouldn't be willing to do what I'm willing to do for the good of the world, for the good of our nation, to be stuck with the situation in 5 years or 10 years from now. So we think they should put a president in, or the head of the country in, that's going to be able to do something peacefully for a change. They've been doing this for 47 years, killing people for 47 years, whether it's the barracks or even the SS Cole where they were involved. Very strongly, they always denied it. But where they were very strongly involved, and all of the people that died through the roadside bombs died and are right now walking around with no legs, no arms, a face that's been so badly damaged. The Iranian regime has been attacking Americans and spreading terror for 47 years, and despite these countless opportunities to renounce their nuclear ambitions, which they had just a short while ago, they told Mr. Witkoff, who is standing right over here, they said, they actually said, we want to keep building. Essentially, in a real nutshell, we want to continue to build nuclear weapons. If we didn't knock out Midnight Hammer, if we didn't knock out their Iranian potential, if we didn't do that with Midnight Hammer, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it long before now. And at a minimum, Israel would have been annihilated. I was very lucky that we had the courage to do that, that we had the talented pilots and the great equipment. The B-2 bombers are unbelievable. We ordered 25 more, by the way. The newer, better version. It's we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world by far. You see that no matter where we go. You still need the people, though, to operate it and to use it. And those are the people that we cherish. Even after we obliterated their key nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, they never negotiated in good faith. They still continued to say, we want to build nuclear. We want enrichment at levels that were unacceptable. And they even turned down an offer for unlimited free nuclear fuel forever for civilian purposes. We had people offering them
Look at those
free
alerts.
nuclear fuel. They weren't interested in that because they wanted to build a nuclear weapon. So instead, the regime was trying to reconstitute its weapons program at a different site. They couldn't go back to where they were, the three sites that we obliterated. But they were starting work at another site, a different site, different kind of a site. And that was protected by granite. They wanted it protected. Granite's pretty good, but they wanted it protected by a lot deeper. They wanted to go a lot deeper, and they started the process while rapidly building conventional ballistic missiles. They were going to do it all at the same time. It threatened our overseas bases and soon could have reached even our homeland. The regime's intention was to use this exponentially growing ballistic missile threat to make it virtually impossible to prevent them from obtaining a nuclear weapon. So as you probably saw, they had a tremendous number of missiles, most of which are now being used or destroyed, and very unsuccessfully used because we have been able, for the most part, to shoot them all down. What incredible technology. The Patriots have been unbelievable, and other things. And the laser technology that we have now is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon. Where literally lasers will do the work of, at a lot less cost, do the work of what the Patriots are doing or what other things are doing. The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And if you notice, they did something which was very foolish, very stupid, I would say. They attacked their neighbors. And their neighbors were largely neutral, or at least weren't going to be involved, and they got attacked. And it had the reverse effect. The neighbors came onto our side and started attacking them, and actually quite successfully. If you look at Saudi Arabia,
you guys saw that?
You look at UAE, Qatar, and others. But they were strong and they were smart, but they got attacked. Nobody, when I first heard it, I said, no, somebody made a mistake. There was no mistake. UAE had over 1,000 missiles shot at it, knocked them almost all down. On the very first day I came down the escalator in 2015, I said, quote, I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And all I'm doing is keeping my promise. Think of that. That was in 2015. I said it. It was a threat then and a much bigger threat now, but no longer a threat, not for a long time anyway. We want to keep it that way. As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world. And I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before. We'll take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to recover, ever. If they want to play that game, they better not play that game. In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea, but we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world if they do anything. In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that, too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll
risk insurance?
Perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary. If it is, and if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner, great partner. It worked out so wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period of time.
Things are still good with China?
And we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the US Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed.
It's going down. It's going down.
Right through. And we have the greatest greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast, but we hope we don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed. But they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East, and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing, and we're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be
what's that? Look at that!
Look
Look at that!
Even harder.
Shots in the sky. Interceptors.
Thank you very much for being here.
Look at
Go
that.
ahead. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Do you
look at the
approve
shots.
of Iran's new supreme leader? And secondly, can you tell us more about your call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today?
Yes.
What did you discuss?
Yes, I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our side, from his side. We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight. And look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together. But I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful. I said, you could be more helpful by getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with. That would be more helpful. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive. Yeah, please.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to...
soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more
Probably
than
doing
that.
this on purpose
But two
while Trump's
levels of
talking.
leadership are gone.
Want to land a
Most
bomb.
people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
To Cuba, you said that Cuba wants to make a deal.
Yes.
What would the United States get in return for that, and why should Americans trust Marco Rubio to negotiate it?
Well, Marco Rubio is doing a great job. I think he's going to go down as the greatest Secretary of State in history. Look at what we've done as a presidency. Look at what we've done as an administration. They trust Marco, and so do the American people trust. He's been successful no matter where he's been. He also speaks the language, which is always nice and always helpful. But he's dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter, because they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no money. They're in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis. And we don't want to see that, but they were very, very bad to a lot of people, as you know, and a lot of people living the Cuban-American vote, which I got at record levels. Very important. Those people are very important to me. I know what they went through. They went through hell. Some of them have gone on to be some of the most successful people in the country. Cuban-American business people, some of them are like the most successful in the country. And a lot of them are friends of mine, because I've been fighting this battle with them for a long time. The Castro regime was brutal, but they lived off Venezuela. Now they don't live off Venezuela. Sends them no energy, no fuel, no oil, no money, no nothing. They lived without Venezuela. They couldn't have made it, and we cut them off from everything else. So, they're going to make either a deal, or we'll do it just as easy anyway. Yeah. Please, go ahead.
Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the Americans, will the U.S. accept any responsibility?
Well, I
for
haven't
that strike?
seen it, and I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most
powerful weapons around is used by, is sold and used by other countries, you know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more. But whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic. It's sold to other countries, but that's being investigated right now. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared
Well, I think
for
you could
this war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
It's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar, they have no telecommunications, and they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, it's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. These were ships. These were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off their ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufactured the drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the Trump administration, what we want to do. Thank you. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you, you mentioned you were going to waive certain additional oil waivers or sanctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and address in particular?
Well, we're looking to keep the oil prices down. We went artificially up because of this excursion into a very positive thing. I mean, this was an excursion that a lot of people wouldn't have done. I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful. This was a military success, the likes of which people haven't seen. We have the best military. We have the best equipment.
The best of the best.
I believe, the best generals. We have the best. And this went very quickly. We talked about that with President Putin. He was very impressed with what he saw because nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. Iran was a very powerful military country with all of the missiles. Now, you had the double attack. You had the original attack with us and Israel, and that knocked them for a loop. Then you had the B-2 bombers, which took out their nuclear capability, and they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And they would have used it long before this press conference. And we might have had a much different press conference if we had a press conference at all. But it's been amazing. The military success that we've had is truly unprecedented.
You've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of Senator Mullen as your next DHS secretary? Does that mean a DHS funding bill? And Senator Thune said today it's not a matter of whether or not your Republican colleagues agree with the policy. It's about changing the process. In other words, getting rid of the filibuster to get there.
So in order to get it, you're going to need Democrat votes. And what we're saying is the Save America, not the SAVE Act, which nobody knew what it was, the Save America Act. The Save America Act. And that's voter ID. We want voter ID. When a voter, we want to be able to see
Save
a
America.
picture of the voter. We want to be able to see that the voter is legitimate. We want, very importantly, confirmation that this voter is
Save
a citizen
America.
of the United States of America. And we want no mail-in ballot scams. So we have exceptions for the military, for sick, for disabled, and for people that are away, business trips or whatever. Even vacations will be very liberal in that. We've added two things to it: no men and women's sports and no transgender mutilization of our children. We don't want it's mutilization of our children. and we don't want that. So we added those two things. That's the 5 points. We have 5 very good points. It polls at 86% with Democrats. Think of that. The overall vote is 86%. With Republicans, it's 98%. And the only one opposed to it is a Democrat leadership because they cheat. They want to cheat. So we added those 2 points. We're going for the gold, and we're going to have to fight like hell. Now, certain things will happen. Certain things will take place. I'm here to do a great job for the country. But we don't have a country, if we're going to have elections that are so corrupt and so dishonest like we've witnessed over the last period of time. You know, as an example, virtually nobody has a system of mail-in ballots like we have. No other country in the world. France went away from it. They all went, you know why? Because it's corrupt. And Jimmy Carter, when he had a commission, frankly, I think it's probably the best thing Jimmy Carter did. He said, you can't have mail-in voting because it's inherently dishonest. And it's turned out to be totally dishonest, so we're going to fight for it. Yeah.
Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S. There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period, but we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Have to take him out? Does he have a target on his back?
You mean the new supreme leader? You mean the son?
How can there be an Iran?
Well,
with
I don't want to say that, but you know, I was disappointed because we think it's going to lead to just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
Thank you, sir. You've said you have someone in mind to be the new Iranian leadership, if not the Ayatollah's son. What are you looking for in that person? Are you looking at someone internal, given that you just said that their leadership has been decimated?
I like the idea of internal and eternal, come to think of it. But I like the idea of internal because it works well. I mean, I think we've proven that so far in Venezuela. We have a woman, Delcy, who has been, president of the country, very respected, she's doing a great job. And it's, no disruption. We had, as you remember, Iraq, where everybody got fired. The military got fired, the police got fired, the politicians got fired. There was nobody. And you know what they turned into? ISIS. And we don't want that. We don't want that. So I would like to see people that are inside go. Now, they talk about the son of the Shah. They talk about other people. But, hasn't been there in many, many years. We have a formula that's been very good so far, and I think it'll continue to be good. The relationship is extraordinary with Venezuela, smart country. We've taken out 100 million barrels of oil. It's right now in Houston being taken care of and made so beautiful. And you have to see this at work. They have, it's brought to the refineries. It's being refined in Houston, which is made exactly for that product. And so far, but it's 100 million barrels of oil, and now they have another 100 million barrels coming. And it's like a partnership. We're getting along so well with them. It's great for Venezuela, and it's great for the United States. Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. President, you just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation, but Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report. Yeah, please.
You said earlier that we've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. What do you consider enough? What's your baseline?
Where they're not going to be starting the following day to develop a nuclear weapon. Where they'll look at that man and some other people from the administration and say, all right, we're not going to do it. They were not willing to say that. And when Steve called up and he said that to me, I said, well, here we go. Let's do it the hard way. But the hard way, I think, is probably the easy way. When basically I can see that they will no longer have any capacity whatsoever for a very long period of time of developing weaponry that could be used against the United States, Israel, or any of our allies. We have great allies in the Middle East, great countries that are allies. And they were staying out of it until they got hit. Someday they'll have to do a story. Why did he do that? Why did they do that? But they were going to hit them. If I didn't hit them first, they were going to hit our allies first. I believe, upon information and belief, but I believe that he was going to, they were going to take over the Middle East. They were looking to take over the Middle East. Now, had Operation Midnight Hammer not taken place, that was definite, because they would have had a nuclear weapon within a matter of weeks. But that took place. That was a setback. But look at the number of missiles they were able to buy and make over the last 6 months. And those missiles were aimed at various countries. And when you look at over 1,000 missiles shot at like UAE, they were looking to take over the Middle East. We got there first. We're lucky. I'll tell you what, the Middle East and those countries, very rich countries, are very lucky that I was president instead of somebody else.
Lucky.
To U.S. action in Iran?
I don't think so, no. No, we get along very well on this. He was, I would say, philosophically a little bit different than me. I think he was maybe less enthusiastic about going, but he was quite enthusiastic. But I felt it was something we had to do. I didn't feel we had a choice. If we didn't do it, they would have done it to us. I felt, based on the negotiations that were being had by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco and Pete, and everybody was involved, I felt that they were looking to tap us along before they hit, and I thought they were going to hit. And if they hit us first, that would have been a very bad thing. In the back, please, in the back. About the Strait, you mean? Yeah, well, I want to keep it open. I want to keep it good. You know, it doesn't pertain to us so much as it does to China. We're really helping China here and other countries because they get a lot of their energy from the Straits. But, hey, look, we have a good relationship with China. It's my honor to do it. Yeah.
You have called him an unacceptable choice. So does he have a target on his back? And how can you say
I don't want to say whether or not he does, because that would be inappropriate. But, hey, look, I had a target on my back because, as you people wrote pretty well, they caught the assassin that was after me. So we just got them first. But they caught the assassin. They have him now in custody that was after me. So, you know, but people don't like to mention that, but they did catch him. And I'd like to congratulate our military, Secret Service, FBI, all of the people that worked on that, but they did. Yeah, please. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the people?
Will I help them? I'd like to, if they can behave. But they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great, I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please.
President, as of today, there have been 8 U.S. military fatalities associated with
Eight.
the war in Iran.
8 fatalities.
How many American deaths are you willing to have in this war?
Well, as I said before, when you have conflicts like this, you always have death. And I was at Dover yesterday. I met the parents, and they were unbelievable people. They were unbelievable people, but they all had one thing in common. They said to me one thing, every single one: finish the job, sir. Please finish the job. And I'll leave you at that. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Well, there he is. Trump spoke. Trump has spoken. Answer questions, Q&A. He doesn't really want to talk about the new Ayatollah. Trump shrugged off Iran's new leader. Nobody has any idea. Want to talk about the new person taking
Their
lead.
terrorist leaders are gone. We're counting down the minutes until they will be gone. Think of it. We had leaders, and they're gone. Then we had new leaders, and they're gone. And now nobody has any idea who the people are that are going to be the head of the country, and will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated.
The Trump. There was this other clip real quick. Argentinian journalist in Tel Aviv describing a terrifying moment after 2 missiles hit without any sirens, forcing people to run for shelter. Let's see.
Castro, desde Tel Aviv están volvieron al refugio porque se realizaron los ataques. Sí, contamos.
Escucharse 2 detonaciones, 2 bombazos en la zona donde estamos. Acaban de caer en las inmediaciones del lugar donde estamos 2 bombazos, uno en la cercanía del aeropuerto. Estamos tratando de averiguar información.
Going really fast. 2 bombs fell. Let's see if I can get this thing on. It is on. See if this works. I don't know.
Castro, desde Tel Aviv están volvieron al refugio porque se realizaron los ataques. Sí, contamos.
Escucharse 2 detonaciones, 2 bombazos en la zona donde estamos. Acaban de caer en las inmediaciones del lugar donde estamos 2 bombazos.
I think it's working. I don't think it's working. I did start it, though, right? Oh, actually, I didn't. I didn't. Let's see.
Castro, desde Tel Aviv están volvieron al refugio porque se realizaron los ataques. Sí, contamos.
Escucharse 2 detonaciones, 2 bombazos en la zona donde estamos. Acaban de caer en las inmediaciones del lugar donde estamos 2 bombazos, uno en la cercanía del aeropuerto. Estamos tratando de averiguar información. Estamos otra vez en el refugio. Ha sido impactante y un detalle que nos ha inquietado mucho más. No sonaron las alarmas. No sonaron las alarmas. Así que
The alarms didn't go off. It's not doing it
esto
properly.
nos ha sorprendido absolutamente todo. Estamos con 2 bombazos impresionantes que han caído a metros de donde estamos. Por favor, díganos cómo nos están recibiendo.
Estamos recibiendo muy bien la transmisión en audio y
Asking how the transmission's going. He said the transmission's good.
video, pero esta vez no recibieron alerta, entonces.
They didn't receive an
Perfecto, te
alert.
escucho con alguna dificultad, Guillermo, pero entiendo que nos están recibiendo bien. Insisto,
Having a hard time hearing you.
estamos emitiendo desde el lugar de... acaban de caer 2 bombazos sorpresivamente. Hay la información que tenemos que están desarrollándose estos proyectiles.
2 bombs have fallen.
Estos lanzamientos sobre la zona del aeropuerto, uno acaba de explotar, te diría, a 100 o 150 metros de donde estamos. Vamos a tratar de precisarlo en el momento que estemos afuera, pero el elemento sorpresivo es que no han sonado las alarmas. Por lo tanto, esto nos ha sorprendido absolutamente a todos. Estamos
The alarms didn't ring, hit by 2
todos
bombs.
aquí, estamos bien seguros y estamos, como ustedes ven, los periodistas que están transmitiendo para distintas partes del mundo, TN, aquí en el lugar en donde se ha producido este incidente sorpresivo en el medio de esta guerra tensa. Insisto, el elemento que más ha llamado la atención es que no sonaron las alarmas, no tuvimos el alerta.
Okay, all right, that was the alert. Ooh. All right, that was the alert. All right, guys, I guess that's it for now. You know, whatever else happens today, we'll jump on later for any breaking news. You know, we'll try to mix it up. Try to mix it up with different news topics. I appreciate you guys joining. Let's see what you guys are saying. Thank you for the super chats. Appreciate the super chats. The world is cooked. I saw an article that said 1 in 3 people believe like the end. We'll see the end of the world in our lifetimes. 1 in 3 people. CNN. Nancy, what's going on with Nancy? I'll catch you guys later, man. Appreciate it. Be safe. All right. Bye. Bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop. Yet you're here watching, though. Yet you're here watching. Bloop, 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 bloop. Let's have a gardening show. Good. Have you ever had a regular job? Yeah, most of my life. I've worked CVS, 2 hospital jobs, and IT pharmacy job. What's the opposite of TDS? Bloop, 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 bloop. Adios, Eckerd gang.